Hello everyone, welcome to our first class here in this Excel course. And before we start the content, I would like to introduce myself a little bit. Then I'm going to be our teacher. My name is Mara Sarconvis, and actually I'm a student and professional in computer science and data analytics role. I bring for here the three tools that I most use in my day-to-day work. First of them is obviously Excel, a powerful spreadsheet that you can do a lot of things with it. Syntax formatting, creating tables, putting some colors, to automations, models, dashboards, and sites, and all these things that I'm going to see during this course. The other two we're not going to see here. It's not our focus. I just bring it here for you to know a little bit of me. What do I do? What do I use? All right? That is Python and MySQL. Other powerful tools, very important for the analytics, creating reports, insights, and all these things. All right? So let's cut to the chase and see what will we learn on Excel. And first of all, we're going to go through these three steps in this course. First of them is the basic, after the intermediate, and then the advanced one. So what we're going to see in the first module. The first module, we're going to see what it is Excel, why is it so important, why are all companies looking for it, why should you have it. You're going to see really what is the basic one. After that, we're going to see how to install Excel. It's pretty simple. You only need an email account, and I'm going to go through these steps with you. After that, the class that I consider the most important one in this course, in the basic level, that is the first contact with the interface. Okay, you have already installed it. What should you do now? I'm going to go for you through this and show you why so many areas where I have to go to create a new spreadsheet, to create new sheets, and how to start your first project. And after that, I'll show you a little bit of formatting. So how you can format text, how you can change row and column with it, how can you make some basic equations, all right? And in the intermediate level, here we're going to see a little bit of cell reference. Why that? All our formulas and equations is going to use cell reference. So you have to understand when you have to use which type. It's pretty simple, there are not so many, and I know you're going to get it. After that, we're going to make a project of statistics. How you can put statistics on your report, how you can make all this, which formulas you're going to use, how you have to organize the data. Organization is one of the most beauty points on Excel. You can organize data in a way that have to be beauty, clean, and you have to understand it just to look at it. It's one of the most important points on Excel when you're using it. And after that, we're going to see a little bit of data analysis. All right? We're going to create a report. So with all these steps that we have said before. I would like to, before we get to the advanced one, I would like to say something in the intermediate level. Just with this, you can make mostly of all projects that you see. All right. Here you can make the famous formulas like procs, that are the XLookUps, sums ifs, and all these things. All right. Here you can already have a good vision of how to do and what you have to use to make a report. When I talk about the advanced one is when you can excel yourself making better and better things. How you can create a better report. You have to create dashboards. So how you can create the good graphic, when you have to use this graphic or not. All right. We are going to see about automations. So we're going to see macros here, a little bit of VBA, a very important thing that you can make to import and export data and all this kind of things. And we're going to see a lot of models. So how can you create a model? Two, when you have to work on this kind of activity again, you don't have to make everything from zero, right? Basically, is this that I'm going to see during the course. I know that you're going to like it. And I'll bring it here very condensed for you to, just for an introduction class. We're going to talk a lot about these things, all right? So in our next class, introduction of Excel. What it is, what can we use for, and why does it matter? All right? So see you there. Hello everyone, welcome to our second class here in this Excel course. And for today, we're going to see a little bit of introduction to Excel. Understand a little bit what it is, what can we use for, and why does it matter. First of them, what it is Excel. Microsoft Excel is a spreadsheet software used for organizing, analyzing, and visualizing data, with tools like formulas, charts, and pivot tables. It is widely used in business, finance, and research. So as you can see here, Microsoft Excel we can use for a lot of things, a lot of fields, right? Aiming, obviously, the data visualizing, the data analyzing, But first of all, I want to highlight something that is the spreadsheet software. If you don't know really what it is, a spreadsheet, take a little look on the Google. I'm going to show all of this right on the first concept with Excel. That's going to be our fourth class. So if you don't have time, okay, but I recommend you a lot to get a little look on the Google spreadsheet, the row and column rule, the cell thing, and all these things, right? Because how this course in the objectivity for you to end this course already knowing how to work. I'm not going to take a look on the whole of it, all right? I'm going to pass it really, really fast. So, what can we use for? Excel can be used for data organization, financial analysis, budgeting, creating reports, generating charts, performing calculations, analyzing large data sets, and a lot of more. It's also useful for tracking tasks, managing inventories, and automating repetitive tasks. Here, I want to focus on automating repetitive tasks that we're going to see on the advanced model, because if your job is just to copy and paste a lot of things, to formatting a lot of things, you can do all that automated, saving a lot of your time, boosting your productivity, and all of this. I want to take a little look on the managing inventories thing, because there's a lot of ways of do it. The simplest way is just a column with the products and another column with the quantity. But if you're pretty good, if you have time, you have disposition, you can create a whole system of it, of adding products, calculation already bills, a report of the sellings, and all these things, right? So really, even a simple thing like managing inventories can be a really hard one, a really huge one if you do it very well. And the third, why does it matter? It boosts productivity, aids data analysis, and support decision making. It's crucial for career in financing, marketing, and data analysis, improving employability and career growth. You're probably here for the last part, that is employability and career growth, right? If you want a good job, if you want a better job, you have to have Excel. Really is necessary. For the reasons that I have said before, our good companies are looking for it. But I want to highlight the support decision making. Why that? If you are managing data, looking with data, creating reports, and someone looks at your reports and don't understand nothing, you have not done your job. Your job is to taking this data, organizing, make it clean, make it strong for someone who see it, trying to understand what it is, having an insight, and make a really decision making. So you are not just taking some data and manipulating it. No, you are trying to make decision making. That's what someone who works with Excel do. The data analysis and the productivity thing I have already said before. So this was our class. I hope that you like it. And our next class, we're going to see how you can install Excel. All right. So see you there.
Hello everyone, welcome to one more class. And today, like I said before, I'm going to show you how you can install the Excel. Alright? It's not difficult, but I want to make some appointments before. That is, you have to have a Microsoft account, right? And you have to have the service. This Excel is paid. You have the free one online, but there's some difference. The Excel Online don't have everything that the software installed one have, so we're not going to use it. So just for you to understand, you have to do these two things, right? But I'm understanding that if you are here, you already have this license, right? So let's get started. How we download it, how we install it. You come here and get Office 365. Go on the first link, and then for me it's already on my account, but for you it's going to show you to make your login on Microsoft account, and it's going to show you this screen. After that, all you have to do is come here on right and above, install and more, install Microsoft 365. After that, you're going to download this archive of setup.x. After that, just click twice here. I'm not going to click because my Excel is already downloaded, and it's going to show you everything. All you have to do is some questions like your login, your account, what is the plan that I have paid for the license, and this kind of things. pretty easy. There's no secrets. After that, you will be already open to use the Excel. All right. So it's just that, pretty simple, right? So we're going to go, and I'm going to close this. So after that, we're going to open the Excel for the first time in our next class, and I'm going to show you a little more of the interface, our first contact with Excel. All right. So see you there. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class, and today we're going to see our first contact with the interface of Excel. Last class we saw how to install it, and today we're going to open it for the first time. Alright, let's start. So I'm going to start it by here on the left side because we're going to see that this main object is just a compiled version of these ones. Alright, so let's start. Here I have the open menu. What is this open menu? Here I can open before I have that I have worked before, so you can continue opening. It's pretty simple. Yeah, it's not nothing new for you. You can take it from PC, from servers, or locally. You can create new ones in this page new that have this blank workbook. That's where you create a new project, all right? But down here you have more options. There are models that Excel already gives to you, for you don't have to make all your work from zero. So if you come down here, you have a lot of them, like planning, commercial inner, project manager, and all these kind of things. So if you look down here and see something that already made what you want, you can use it, okay? Don't fear to use it. And down below, we have the options and account options. I'm not going to show here. Here is personal, and options is more advanced ones for you that are already used to Excel. And then you got more details, some cut shots that you can make with your keyboard, and this kind of things. So I'm not going to show it here. And then finally, the home page that, as I said before, is just a compiled version of everything that we saw. So here I can create a new workbook, I can use models, and down here I can use before a project, all right? But for us, we're going to see the blank workbook. So let's click here, and yeah, we have already created our first workbook, our first project. What does we have here? Here we have some options. I'm just going to show you the home page because it's our focus here in the basic level. All right. The other ones I'm going to show you during this course. So let's start. Here we have the clipboard option. I know that's kind of strange to have a clipboard option, but you have to understand that in Excel we have a lot of options of how to paste it. Yeah, we have special pastes that you probably are going to choose a lot of times. Here you're just going to use font style, so you can change your font here to one that you like. The size here is just going to open the size accordingly. You can make bold, italic, underline. Here is very interesting. That is the grad border. So if you put here, you see that your cells have already a border. Everything here on this box is just for formatting text. All right. Here it's also looks like a very one to the before. What we have here is uh, text alignment. So you probably already know how it functions, but let's suppose that I write something on here. I can change the text alignment from down to above, left to right, and middle. All right. Here I can modify the angulation. It's pretty strange. I don't use it a lot, but you can use it. All right. You can make a lot of things. Yeah. Number is a very important box because sometimes your number is like 1, 2, 3. It comes as a text, so you have to be sure that they are as a number. Here we're going to choose a lot of this, so you can choose as a number, as a currency, as an account, and a lot of things as a percentual, like we have here, percent style. But no, I'm not going to be so objective today. Just going to show you what we have here. Conditional formatting and styles. I'm going to show you more in the in the intermediate level, so I'm not going to show it here. In cells box, you can add cells, add columns, add rows. So you can select a row. Just click here, the arrow down, insert. I know it's kind of strange, but you already seen that's adding more and more columns for me. You can delete ones, you can format. So let's come here. on this one that you have mixed. Format auto fit column width. See, the column has already made the perfect size of my text. It's pretty used for getting more style, to getting more clean, a clean workbook. We can make it here also. So as you can see, now we have a cell that perfectly fits our text. All right. The other ones I'm not going to show here because, as I said before, here is more for intermediate and advanced levels. It's about more formula, sort and filter, add-ins. So I'm not going to show it here. But as you can see, this is the basics of Excel. This is what we're going to use in the basic level. So just text formatting and this kind of things. So I hope it's not too difficult for you. And just one more thing before I forgot, here in this plus, you can create a new sheet. All right. So you can get creating new sheets. You can rename sheets if you click twice. So first sheet, okay? Basically is that our first class using Excel. We're going to make a lot of things, and the next class we're going to see a little bit of formulas. Yeah, we're going to start talking about it. So see you there. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class of Excel, and today we're going to see mathematical symbols on Excel. So we're going to see how you can make sum, subtractions, multiplications, how you can divide something, the or parameters is very important, right? Last class I'll show you the formula sum, but if you don't want, you don't have to use the formula sum, right? I will give you some examples here. So first, I'm going to create a little table of numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I want to sum these numbers with each other, all right? So I can use the formula sum, right? I can put here, dot, here, right? I can make that, right? But also, I can just make 1 plus 1. It will give me the same result. So the formula sum is equal plus, obviously, right? But what if you want to make a subtraction? You probably are already understanding what I want to go. It's the same method that you use in the paper. 1 minus this one, right? If I come here, I can choose 1 minus this one, right? I can make 2 minus 3 minus 1, right? Also, obviously, you can make with more numbers. So we can choose 2 minus 3 minus 1 minus 2. You can add some with it, all right? You can mix it as long as you want. So I have 2 minus 3 minus 1 plus 4. I have 2, all right? So as you can see, the operation of subtraction is pretty simple, all right? It's the minus symbol. What about multiplication? In multiplication, when we are writing on the paper, we normally represent with an X or with a dot, right? Is not the case here. Multiplication is a little different, all right? So let me delete this. And what does we have is that for multiplication, we use the asterisk, right? Very well. So what about I want to multiplicate 2 asterisk 2 to give me 4. What about I want to use 3 asterisk 2 to give me 6, right? So multiplication we use asterisk. And for division, right? In division, we normally make something like that. One above other, right? 1, 2, something like that. Here, it's very close to it. We use the bar. So what about I want to make a division of 4 to 4? Give me 1. A division of 2 by 3, right? It will show me the result. So the 4 basic operations on Excel, we use these symbols, all right? I know it's kind of strange using asterisk for making multiplication if you have never contact with any programming language or any Excel spreadsheet, but you gotta use it to it pretty fast, alright? What more we have? When we talk about mathematical logics, we have the AND and we have the OR, right? Here on Excel is not different. But you have to understand something. When I use this one, I'm not making any multiplication, division, sum, subtraction. I'm not going to make this kind of operations. These operations results me in a number, right? This 4 results me in a number, right? Let's put here result. Result, symbol, and type, right? So what does the type and the type OR return us? Return us something called Boolean. What is Boolean? It's basically true or false. Alright? I hope you're getting here. We have true or false. So let's understand what is in the OR option. Imagine that you have two options. Let's say I have 1 bigger than 4 and 4 bigger than 1. See? This operand, I will put it here also. These ones, and we're going to talk about it. These ones are comparison, all right? So it will always return me also a boolean. It will show me if the sentence is true or if the sentence is false. All right, let's just slow that down a little. Imagine that I have the numbers. I'm going to use this table. All right, here I want to see if 3 is bigger than 2. 3 is really bigger than 2, so it gives me the true boolean, right? But what if I want to see if 2 is bigger than 3? False, right? So it's not difficult. You just have to understand that these ones we use a lot. I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to put it here, bigger than, lower than, bigger or equal, lower or equal, right? We have these 4 types of comparison. Let's come here and put the case 4 is bigger than 4. 4 is not bigger than 4, right? 4 is equal than 4. So you can make it in the simple way of 4 is bigger or equal to 4. Now we have true. All right? I hope that you're getting from here because you're going to use it very, very much. All right? So if you're not understanding, take a look to the symbols, take a pause, and try and understand what they mean. All right? And the other ones is just the lower. So if I put here is 3 lower than 4? Yeah, 3 is lower than 4. Is 4 lower than 2? No, well, 4 is not lower than 2. Alright? What more we have? We have the and the or operational. What it is? In the bigger than and lower than, we compare two numbers, right? And it returns us a boolean. In and or, we compare booleans. So what I'm trying to say is that and, remember what I said, always read the description of the formulas. Checks whether all arguments are true and return true if all arguments are true. So I'm going to open parentheses and see he's asking me for the logical one. What is the first sentence that I want to see, understand if it's true or false? This one. Okay, what more? I want to also compare with this one, false and true. Close parentheses, and it returns us false. Why? The formulas and, we use the word and, okay? It gives us only if the all the parameters that we set to it are true. Only with that. So if I have three parameters and one of them is false, it's false. Alright? Only if the three parameters are true that it returns true. So if I come here and see and true and true, it will give us true. Why we use that? We use a lot of comparisons. Alright? Because we have a formula called if. Alright? But I'm not going to talk about it now. But we use a lot of this. So you have to be very used to mathematical symbols and the result of them to understand when to use which. Alright? So what about I use the below was the end. What about I use the or? If you use the or, as it's saying, if just one or other are true, it will give us true. So in this case, we have false and we have true. It gives us true. Even if we have 10 parameters, if one of them is true, it will return us true, right? If all of them is true, it will give us true. If or, so we have to understand. And all the parameters have to be true, or only one or more parameters needs to be true. All right? So if I come here and choose or and true false, it will obviously give us false. But if I come here, the same formula, and add and true, it will give us true. All right? I hope that you're getting it because we are going to use it pretty much. All right? So this was our class. Remember, this table here is very important. All right? This table is very important. You have a lot of content of this on the internet of this table. So if you are insecure of yourself, make a print and have it always by your side. All right? We're going to use it a lot in our next classes. So see you there. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class of Excel, and today we're going to see the beginning of formulas, alright? First of all, we have to understand how Excel understands what is a formula and what is not. Example, if I write here sum, Excel will show me a text sum, obviously. So how does we use the formula sum? We have to put the equal in the beginning. So in the beginning of the cell, if there is an equal, you will make as a formula, right? So if I write sum here now, you see that you have given me some options of possible formulas that I can use. I'll use the first one that is adds all the numbers in the range of cells. Every time that you will use a formula and Excel recognize it, it will show you the description of what does the formula does, as you can see here. All right. So I'm going to use parentheses to pass the parameters. What are the parameters? It's what you give to your cell that you use for make the calculus, right? And Excel will give you the description of what it is. See that I'm making a sum and I want the first number of the sum. I'll use the first number 1, all right? But for a sum, basically I would normally use one or more numbers. So I will use dot comma to separate the parameters. Now I will give one more parameter, that is number 2. You see how if what if you lose yourself in the parameters? I don't know where am I. You see here that number 1 is not more in bold, but number 2 text here is in bold. It indicates you that you are in the number 2 argument. What is our number 2? I will use the number 2. So I close parenthesis and do an enter. It will give me 3. The sum of 1 plus 2 is 3, right? So this is the basic of formulas. So what does we have? We have the equal that we need to make a formula, all right? We have the arguments or parameters. That is what we pass to the formula to give us the result that we want so that he can make the calculus, all right? And we have the dot and comma that we use to separate the ones. I'll give you one more example of formula. Let's see count. I like the count. Here, count the number of cells in a range that contain numbers. All right, so it's going to give us the count. See, I will always tell you to, when you use a formula, see this gray sheet, this gray box that Excel gives to you. Excel is saying, oh, I need the first value. What is our first value? We're going to select a cell. I'm going to select this cell. After that, he's asking for a value 2. I'm going to select this cell. And after that, he's asking for the value 3. I'm going to select this cell. As you can see, it returns for us the number 1. Why? Because the formula count only gives us the counting of numbers. I gave him 3 cells. This, this, and this. Right? So just one of these 3 have a number. So that's why it returned us 1. What about if you forgot what does the formulas do? It's impossible to remember all the formulas, really. There are a lot of them, and especially if you have something specific, if you work with economics and financial reports, it has a lot of specific formulas for it, all right? But remember, if you have an interest, you can go here, count, and see. You see that I have a lot of counts. Count, count A, count blank. So go reading what does the formula does to see if it's really what you want, all right? What more we have? We have this one, all right? Here you can create some, there are some basic formulas that Excel gives us already and possibility to make it easier. So if I come here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, select everything and click here sum. And the below, it will give me the result. And if you see, it's a sum, right? But it's sum everything in a different way. This is what we call cell reference, but the cell reference is our first class on the intermediate level. Okay, so it's just for you to understand the structure of a formula. We have the equal, we have the arguments, and we have the dot and comma. Every formula is basically just that. You just have to understand which cell you have to do, you have to use, what to return, what to expect to return, and this kind of things, right? So this was our first class, understanding formulas, all right? I'll bring it here in this spreadsheet because I think that's for you to get more usage to it, all right? You can make a little pause and create your own formulas. Put an equal and write something. S, A, to show everything, and you guys are gonna see and it's going to show you all the formulas. All right. So that's it for this class. See you in the next one. Hello everyone. Welcome to one more class. And today I'm going to tell you a little bit of cell reference. Cell references are very important in the Excel world because it's how you're going to make your formulas variable, not fixed. Last class we saw that we can make a sum like that. 1 plus 1. Alright? But as you can see here, I insert the static number on the formula, and I don't want that. What if I want some other numbers? Every time I'm going to come here and make a different formula? No, this wastes too much time. Okay? So before we really start doing the practice, I'm going to show a little bit of how does it works. Okay? Just for you to understand. Here you have to get two concepts. The concept of cells that are you already know it, and the concept with range. A range is when you take multiple cells. All right. So if you take 2 cells, is a range. 3 is a range. Normally, a range we make this way, but I will get there. Okay. First, how can I reference a cell? As we see before, every time that I put the equal on the beginning, I get in formula. So this A1 is not text, all right? As you can see, equal A1. As you can see here below, the text is blue. If the text is blue or have another color, it says that, oh, I'm taking a cell. All right. And if you see here on the cell A1 that we are saying here, you see that the background of the cell is blue also. So this one refers to this one. And so when I press enter, I'm going to get that cell value. All right. So if I come here and write B2, I'm going to take the B2 value. All right. Very simple. And here we already have a range. Different from the cell, here I have to say more than one cell. So if we see here in the formula, I'm saying that I want the cell A1, all right? Imagine that these 2 points, these 2 dots, are the word 2. So I want the cell A1 to B1. Makes sense for you? If I put only A1, it would be like that. But if I say I want A1 to B1, I'm going to get both cells, all right? And again, normally Excels, when you have a big formula, and you have to use multiple cell reference, Excel normally highlights with another colors for you to understand when you are using which. All right, and as you can see here in the formula, we have the A1 B1 painted on blue, and here we have the A1 and B1 cell in a background blue. So it's saying that this color refers to this color. All right, quite simple. But what about to make this way? A1 to B. Strange. As you can see here, Excel don't recognize it. But what is the difference from this one and this one? Both I have in second column that I don't use a letter. Sorry, a number, right? But here the hashtag name error is when the Excel don't recognize your formula. So she's saying, what is this the true name of your formula? But here we have another error, spill, kind of different, right? When I put on the letters B to B, I'm going to say that it's like I would come here to B and saying that I want all these cells, all right? So when I have B to B, it's like I would select all my cells of this column. What if about I came here and put A to B? See? Here I have the same error. This spill error is because there are so many cells to output the text that he's saying, oh, I don't have space for this. All right. This basically is our cell reference class. Okay. It's very important for you to understand the concept of cell, the concept of range, and in this concept that is column to column. We are going to see this a lot when we are using the proxies formula, because this normally we use for look up for something, right? But this is not the class. I'm going to show that after for you. In our next class, I'm going to show you a little bit of an exercise that I made for it. All right. So see you there. Hello everyone. Welcome to one more class. And today, like I said in our next class, we're going to see an exercise of cell reference. All right. So let's start. Let's check this out. I bring here a table that have some informations like people's name, their ages, how many children they have, and how many children toys they have. All right. And here I bring some questions, and you have to answer them. So first, how many people are there? You're going to make this by formula. We're not going to count it in your hand and put it here. We're going to make it by formula. How can you do that? You have to think, I want to sum. No, I don't want to sum. I cannot sum Amanda plus Bianca. But I can count them. All right? I can count Amanda, I can count Bianca, I can count Carol, Diane, Steven. I can count it them. So, does have a formula called counts? Yeah, we have. We have a lot of them. All right? So, we're going to need to see which of one we need. The first one counts the number of cells in a range that contain numbers. Here, we don't contain numbers, we contain text. So this one is not for us. And this one, count A, counts the number of cells in a range that are not empty. This might works. Why? This is a cell that is not empty. This is a cell that is not empty. And the same for the ones below. So if I press count A, I can make it select the first value. And as we saw in the last class, we are not going to select each cell by ourselves. I want to select a whole range, multiple cells. Alright? How do I do that? Click on the first, press and hold shift, click on the last. Alright? So as you see here, the Excel already recognizes that I want this whole range, B3 to B7. So reading this formula, what does we have? Count everything that is not empty from B3 to B7. And what does we have? 5. And as we can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Here we have the average age. We're going to make it by formula by the same way. We're going to choose the average formula. Alright? Very simple, the name. We're going to select the first, press and hold shift, the last. So 29.2. I'm going to come here on this number settings and I'm going to this one. This one. Decrease decimal. Show fewer decimal places. I don't want a decimal point on my average age. I want only the integer. So here I can press by it. If I want more, I can put it here, alright? But I just want 29. Very good. How many children's? Children's here is by numbers, so I can sum them, alright? Sum. How many toys? Again, we can make a sum, alright? I bring it here below, as you can see, are the same questions. So why did I bring it here? Is there something on the Excel that is you can pull a formula only by taking it to another cells? Kind of strange. But let's see here. How many people? We already made that, alright? A from this to this. But this time I want to make a little difference. I want to take B3 to B6. Sorry, B3 to B8. Alright? So we are going to see this. Why? I'm going to close and we still have 5. Alright? I put one more line, one more row, but it's still saying that I have 5 because this one is empty. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to take a zoom here for to see better. But here on the right side and below of the cell, we have this green point that we can take it with the mouse and your icon is going to change. Alright? So take this one, press, hold, and go by the right. As you can see here, now these ones already have an formula. That is the same formula as we have before. What is the difference? Let me take out the zoom. All right. What is the difference? Here I have B3 to B8. Here I have C3 to C8. And here I have D3 to D8. Did you understand how it works? If I pull a cell to left or right, Excel is going to understand it that you are going to make the same thing to another column, right? So B, C, D. If I pull this for here, what is going to be? It's going to be E3 to E8. Something very interesting is that Excel also does that to rows. So if I press a cell, click here, hold, and come down, see that our range has already changed. It was B3 to B8, now it's B4 to B9, then B5 to B10, B6 to B11. All right, you understand why these numbers get lower? Here, I come from Bianca to Carol to Stephen. Here, I go to Carol to Stephen. And this one, I only take Diane and Steven. All right. So this is very important because it can save you a lot of time just by doing that. I want to show something that it's very good. That is why I made it B8. If you are using something that you're probably going to update in setting more data, it's very important that you don't use the lesser, the only the number of data that you currently have. Why? Because if I come here now, I can write here Mario, that is my name, and see the cell already updated to 6. But this one is still on 5 because it's only seeing this interval, not this one, only this range. All right. So what I recommend you is that if you're going to insert something, you can make a bigger interval. You can take that from 100, 1000. So every time that I put here something, it's going to update it. All right. So this is why I recommend you a lot to make this. We're going to see another ways to make that for not put a whole number here, but for now is it. I hope that you get it, how to make cell reference, because this we're going to use in our classes from now on. So that's it. See you in our next class. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class, and at today's class we're going to see a little bit of what we learn on this model. Why am I doing that? From now on, the thing is going to be a little more faster. Alright? So if you not feel comfortable with what we saw before, I recommend a lot that you please watch the classes again. Alright? For you to have a better apprenticeship, let's remember what we saw. We're starting on how to install it. This part is not very important. It's pretty easy, as say. So let's just skip it. And next, we've got to the interface one, the first contact with Excel. Now, with the first contact, you must know how to create a workbook, how you can open a workbook, how you can use a model, and this kind of things, all right? You must have already be used to the first interface of Excel. After that, you need to know how to format things. The columns, the rows, the cells, how you can change the font, how you can get the font bigger, how you can change the colors, and this kind of things. Pretty easy. Next, we saw the operators. The operators machine is really important one. So you must understand, you must know, you must remember of how you can make a sum, how you make a subtraction, a multiplication, when you have to use or, and these ones, these mathematics and logic operators that we saw on this model. Operators are really important, all right? So really see it again. Cell reference, other thing that we saw a lot and we're going to use in every class here. Every class. You don't do nothing in Excel without cell reference. So if you're not too comfortable again, go back and see the classes. After that, we went to some formulas, some basic formulas. These formulas, as I said, it's impossible to remember every formula, but the basics ones, I said that it's better for you to remember because you're going to use it a lot. As long as you use it, you're going to remember it. All right. So trying to understand what is an argument, why we use the parentheses, what the structure of the formula, and this kind of things. All right. How you can split formulas. Split formulas is, as I said, when you copy paste to another cell and you got a recursive cell reference. All right. So how you can go from a formula that is on cell B1 to C1. All right. This is split formula. Basically, this is what we saw on this model. It's pretty simple things, but very important ones. So it's better for you to, if you're not comfortable, again, I'm going to keep on this point because it's very important. All right. If you're not too comfortable, please watch the classes again. But for today is it. See you in the next class. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class, and now we're going to continue our study on Excel. Today, what we will learn on Excel is measures of central tendency. This is a little bit of basics of statistics, very basic. You probably already know how to make this calculus, the formulas. It's a lot of things that we saw in our day-to-day, all right? So I'm understanding that you're probably gonna get it very well. The first is the mean or the average. This is the sum of all values divided by the total number of elements. Okay? So if I have these numbers here, as you see, 1, 2, 9, 11, 3, and 34. What I want is to take the mean of it. So the first step is, as it says here, is the sum of all values. Is the first thing that I have to do, right? So here I made it 1 plus 2 plus 9 plus 11 plus 3 plus 34. This is going to give me a number. What do you do with this number? After the sum of all values, you must divide by the total number of elements. So now I have to count down how many elements do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 elements here. So I'm going to make all the sum and divide by 6. Alright? This 1 plus 2 plus 9 plus 11 plus 3 plus 34 gives me 60. 60 divided by 6 is 10. Alright? But what does this 10 represent? Is the median term. So imagine that I have 6 people here and the 6 people have this amount of money. What is the median? What is the pattern that I can see between these people? I can say that, oh, okay, considering the 1, the 34, it's pretty far. But how I'm putting more elements, more people on it, my mean is going to change a little bit. And I'm going to find a better pattern, all right? So this 10 represents this, the average term, okay? Median. The median is the value that divides the data set in half when ordered. This is very important, all right? Ordered is very different if you not order the list. So if I have this list, 1, 2, 3, 9, 11, 34, all right? The first thing that I must do is order this from the first number to the last. Every number must be in a sequence, all right? It's already on sequence here. I already put it this way, okay? So let's see. The value that divides the dataset in half. Very well. What is the half here? How many numbers do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If it sets in half, I must take somewhere below here, around here. But see, if I take 3, my right numbers, I will have 3 numbers. On the left, I will have 2, so it's not the half. If I take the 9, it's the same thing but inversed. Alright, I have 3 numbers to the left and 2 numbers to the right. So how do I do that? You will take these 2 numbers in the center, alright, taking that number 3, take the number 9, I have 2 numbers to the right, 2 numbers to the left. This is setting the data in a half, right? The same numbers on the right, the same numbers in the left. I'm going to sum these numbers and divide it by 2, okay? So 3 plus 9 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Doesn't this remember you something? When I have a pair number of elements, I would take the 2 center ones and take the average of it. Alright? So this thing you must understand a little bit of what we saw before. And the mode. This is the easier one. Alright? The value that occurs more frequently in the data set. So what are our numbers? 1, 4, 2, 9, 9, 11. Alright? So I'm looking for the number that occurs the most. What is this number? 1 is just one time, 4 is just one time, 2 is also one time, but 9, it occurs 2 times. So in this data set, 9 appears 2 times, different from every other number. So my mode, the most frequent value in this data set is 9, alright? This can be used a lot to recognize again patterns. Alright? If you have something that occurs frequently like in a very different way, different number. So imagine that I have here that 4, this 4 and this 2 are also 9. In 60 numbers, I have 4 that would be 9. This is a very important thing that you must understand. Alright? We will work with this a little more with percentile in our analysis, but it's very important for you to understand what is mode. This is the class. Pretty easy, pretty simple. You probably already understand these things or have already saw before. Alright? I just put it here to level up things. Well, guarantee that you know. Alright? Very well, people. That's it. See you in the next class. And at today's class, we're going to see strings or text as a list. Alright? This is a very important thing because when we're going to make a text string manipulation, you have to understand this pretty well. All right, it's not difficult. It's a little bit intuitive. Let's start. All right. So this I think that will have that will give you the look that you need. Imagine that we have the word EXO. So now what I'm going to do is separate all the letters E, X, C, E, and L. All right? Very well. Now, this way, this last way here below is how I represent this as a list. As you see, it's just separate the letters. So, what is the first item of our list? Is the letter E. What is the last item of our list? It's our letter L. All right? Okay, I hope that you are getting it. Just separate the letters, and this is going to be your list. Why we do that? We use that when we have normally when we have some manipulations that we need to take some part away of the string. So imagine that we have an alphanumeric key, but we don't want the last three digits. All right, and then we're going to make a string manipulation to just take the first ones. All right, so I'm going to take everything until the 30 from the right to the left. This is going to be a little more intuitive as we're going to see it in our practice class. All right, and how do I call this? Because these things, this list, have indexes. The index is the position of it. So remember that when I said what is our first item of the list is letter E. So I represent the E as 1 is the first item of my list. X is 2 is the second item of my list. C is 3 is the third item of my list. As you can see, it's not difficult, all right? But what I want you to think a little bit about it before you see the next class. Imagine that you want to take just the first two letters, E and X. How would you do that? It's not very intuitive this way. Taking the letters away is not very intuitive, all right? So I would just want the letter E and X. If you have a paper, try to do it in a paper. How are you going to make it? You're going to go right to the left, left to the right. You're going to cut directly. How would you do that? All right. We're going to work with this in our practice class of string manipulation. But this is very important. I know they're going to understand. It's quite simple when you use it on Excel. But I have to give you this class for you to understand a little bit of how does it works. All right. Very well. See you in the next class. Hello everyone, so let's continue here our analysis of this data. And in our last class, we saw how we can use left and search to bring specific items of a string for a cell. All right. Today we're going to see a bit more of this lower price, bigger price, average price, mode, and median. All right. That is about our central measure tendencies of our central measure tendencies classes. Right. So very well. I want the lower price of this value paid. It's pretty simple. Already I have the formula mean. So I'm just going to choose the formula mean, select my range, and I have the lower price paid was 199.46. All right. What is the bigger price? It's very intuitive. Also is the max function. So I'm going to go here, the range again. So the bigger price paid was 948.28. Very well. The average price. I also have the average formula. So I'm going to go here again, choose my range. I have the average of this. Remember, when we talk about average, not necessarily is in our value paid. So if you see here, the average price is 601. I do not have this value here, right? I do not have this value here. But it makes that formula, that equation that I showed you on the class, in our theory class. Very well. And our mode. The mode is a bit different, all right? Because if I come here and write mode, I have some types of mode. All right. Our mode that we want is this one, mode.sngl. All right. This one, it brings an array, and I did not already talked about you about it, But so I'm going to just make this SNGL, choose the numbers. See, it returns for me 6443782. So if I come here, I have this number appearing twice, here and here. Very well. And what is the median? The median, again, is the same. So come here, and it's bring up for us 583. 500 is this number right here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers for up, 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers to down. Very well. When we do the median formula in the Excel, is not necessarily in the ordered, because in this formula he already do that for us. So if I come here and change places, uh, taking this one for here and this one for here, it will still give me the same number. All right. So the median formula already inside of it do the ordering. You do not need the values really ordered unless you make it by your own. All right. So very well. Just really quick, let's try to understand what we got here from this data, from this report that we made. So I'm saying that I have a lower price and a bigger price very different. I can make something called amplitude. What is the amplitude? Is the difference between the higher one and the lower one. So I said that I have a difference of $784. It's pretty far. All right. So I see here that I probably have two moments that this value got really variated. And our job would be, why that? Why does this price fluctuate so much? Pretty strange, right? Very well. I have an amplitude of 784 and an average price of 601. So what can I think for that? So I'm saying that I have an amplitude higher than our average price. By that, what can I see? I probably can see that my lower price and my bigger price are exceptions of my role, of my data. Because see, what if I take off these numbers, these and these numbers, right? Taking off the higher numbers, you see here that I have an average price more related to my amplitude. So as you can see here, now I have something more fixed. But it was just to illustrate, it was just to show you this, because remember, where you cannot delete this kind of data because it's information. All right, you cannot change this kind of information. You are manipulating data for something that you want to be, and that's not true. Maybe the data will not show you what you want, all right, and you cannot manipulate it as you want for it. All right, there are some rules, there are some laws about it, but let's not talk about it. It was just to illustrate you. So I'm saying that I have an average price of 601, right? And mode of 6443738 can be. What does show us? There was a price that was sold twice. What is this period? Who buy this? Luigi. I have Luigi and Cesar. So Luigi and Cesar bought the same product with the same price. Why that? This kind of question you must do when you're doing your report. Why that? It was because they buy it in the same day, the same time. They have a specific ticket for discounts. Why do this price happens? All right. The median is 583. The median is a little bit more as the average. We honestly, probably in the most of your reports, you're going to choose average price and not the median price, because this is you have a more geometric relationship. All right. So median is just more visualization. Visualization. So imagine that you have 1,000 of data, and I'm saying that my median one is 583, right? You know that Probably from the left is 500 items, to the right is 500 values also. So the median is something more visual, but during your reports, you're probably going to use more the average price. All right. So for this class, I just want you to understand which questions with this data that you construct with the formulas you have to make to yourself to understand that you have the really good insights. All right. In some classes, we're going to start making a really project, and we're going to use probably all of these terms. Very well, people. So see you in our next class. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class. And in today's class, we're going to see a little bit of how to work with data on Excel. Alright, here on our left side, there are some functions that we're going to see today and how you can work with them. Alright, so first is our function equal date. What does this do? He asks for a year, a month, and a day. So let's give it 2025, 03, 22. So as you can see, it returns a date format by the numbers we give. Very simple, all right? Some specific times we use that, but just for you to know, we're not going to use it a lot, all right? Here I have the year function. As you can see here, the year function returns the year of the current data, the data that we specifies him that we want. So as I specified here, B1, he's giving me the year of this data. So as you can think, the function month and the function day gives me the same thing. Very well. But now I have this function hour. All right, hour we can work in a different way. We can make that, but return a zero. All right, because this data is not formatted with an hour, so it return a zero. All right, but what if I come here and put hour and I set an hour? For example, 1700. I recommend you to always use hours like that, with hours, minutes, and seconds. Maybe he find different, and I will tell you why. As you can see here, it returns 17. It's very important this. Why? Sometimes when you work with Excel, you will see that it's very difficult to countability hours. So if you want to know the difference between 2 hours, you're probably going to use the hour model. It's more practice way. So for example, if I put here hour 12, it returns 12. What about if I do that? Hour 12 and a half. Returns 12. Even if I do that, even if you do that, alright, it's giving us the hour model. So every time you work with hour and you want to make the difference between, because now our hour is a number and you can do this. Very well, I think that you understand it. The 2 day return us exactly what I'm thinking. Return us the 2 day date. Pretty simple. And with that, you can make all these functions that we saw before. Here, control plus dot comma is not a function as you think, but our key on your keyboard that you can press to return you faster the data. So what happens if I put control and dot comma? As you can see, is the same as the function today. But can you think of a difference? We have a difference here that this one comes as a text, this one comes as a formula. So if you want something that updates every day the current date, you need a 2 day date. But if you want something that is just for a punctual thing, you may do this, that you're not going to have any problem. And here we have the control shift dot comma. As you can see, it gives you the hour, the current hour that you are working. All right, it's useful, but you're probably not going to use it very much. So basically, this is the data functions. Pretty simple, as you can see. You're not going to use so many times, but if you want, here they are. So see you in our next class. Welcome to one more class, and in today's class we're going to see something that I call keying. What we're going to do with the keying. Imagine that you have something like that. Here, as you can see, is like a sale reporting of some products, but very smaller. There we have the products A, B, C on 2 days, day 6 and day 7. Every product has have a sale with a value and a discount. Alright? And then you start thinking, oh, what about if I want to search a specific thing on this table? So, for example, I want to see what is the number of discounts on day 6 of product A. How would you do that? Here, you can go look for the date and see that the biggest one is 3 or 2. But what about if you have a large amount of data? You cannot do that only by sight. You have to give a function that return you something like that. Very well. So let's start with the concept keying. Keying you can also call by identification or ID. So basically we are going to create an ID that in the next classes we're going to see how we can search for this ID. Alright? Very well. So the ID is something that you can create as you want. I would do like I want the ID, the day, the product plus the data, for example. So here I have the product A with his current data on one cell. But if I come here and get down below, you will see that these two are the same. You can use that, but for some specific things, for other things. If you look for this and then look to your ID, it will have returns you two IDs, and you don't want that. All right. So what do you want? You want the also. What is the differentiation here? The discount, maybe. So you will add also the discount. Now, as you can see, I have two IDs, different IDs, so I can search for them if I want to look. All right. What I recommend you to do, if someone take your basis, take your project, they have to understand what is this. So write on the name on the column name what is this ID. So this ID is the product as well as the data as well as the discount. Oh, sorry, people. Discount price product and date. Sorry, very well. So I have an ID that represents this way. So let's replicate it for here. Very well. Okay, but you can make other IDs, alright? You can make any combination that you want. You can do just separating by month. So as we saw in our before class, you can make like month, this one, and this one. Now I have 3A. So if you want to make a report that you have to construct all the discounts made in a month, you can do that on a product. All right. I know that you understand this. It's not so difficult. You're just going to make an unique identification for that line and what that line represents. All right. Now we're going to see a little bit of the proxies. All right. So the VLookUp and the HLookUp that we're going to use these IDs. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class, and in today's class we're going to see something called XLookUp, VLookUp, and HLookUp. Basically, what are these? You're going to use them for search for something in your basis, right? Just for that. It's a search, but different of our function that search. You're going to understand why. So this is our base that we used in our before class, and I just add here the column clients because we're going to use this. All right. So let's imagine the first challenge. Your boss comes to you and gives you an ID that you have created on your basis. After you report him, he gives, oh, I want to know who is the client of this ID. Because why? I saw that there's something strange about the ceiling. for any of selling for any idea, anything, right? So he wants to know what is the client, all right? If you open your base, you see that here is Gustavo. But as I said in our last class, what if it's a huge page? What do you do? All right. So we're going to use something called XLookUp. What does this do? Let's see. XLookUp. Very well. Lookup value. The lookup value is what are you looking for? So what is your ID that you are looking for in your table? What is our ID? Is this one? Is the ID that your boss gives to you? Very well. Where you are going to look for this ID? I'm going to look on the basis on the column ID. All right. So our first parameter is what are you looking for? And our second parameter is where are you looking this? And I'm seeing that I'm looking on the column EE. All right. Very well. But now, what you want me to return? Imagine that you have already searched for it, you found it. What do you want? Right? You want the date? No, I don't want the date. You want the product? No. The price? No. You want what? The client. So you come here and click on the client column. All right? So you are looking for the A1 in a specific ID returning the client. If I do that, here as you can see, I have already returned Gustavo. And if you see here, it's really Gustavo. So this is what the XLookUp do. You look for something precisely. This is the basics of the lookup functions, all right? What is the different among them? The different among them is how they're going to look. But for you to understand very well, for you who want to repeat this class, I'm going to separate each lookup on a class, okay? So I hope that you get it how the XLookUp works. It's not very difficult, but there's something that I want you to understand. The lookups looks for each line. So he is looking for the A1 cell as we did here on the EE column, on the E column, all right? He is going to look to every cell on this column, looking for the first parameter that corresponds to it. So imagine that you have something like that. For some reason, we have two and this one called Jose, all right? This one is still going to give us Gustavo. Why? Because it's our first parameter that corresponds to what are you looking for, right? It's the first. So what if I do that? Now it's Jose, because Jose is our first parameter that corresponds to it. Are you understanding? I hope so. Sooner we're going to see how you can like bring everything of a specific ID. But I'm going to look at this for you more when I'm talking about tables and pivot tables. All right. So basically, this is the X lookup, our first lookup. In our next class, we're going to see the V lookup. Hello everyone, welcome to more class. And as I said before, today's class we're going to see how the VLOOKUP works. In our next class we saw the XLOOKUP, and as you can see it's not very difficult, alright? But the VLOOKUP, there's one specific thing that you have to be attention it on your basis when you're working with it. Basically he's going to do the same thing as the XLOOKUP. So every of these are looking up for something, but just in different ways of working. Well, it depends a lot of how your basis is structured. Let's come here and see what the formulas do. Where VLOOKUP looks for a value in the leftmost column of the table. This is very important, and then return a value in the same row from a column you specify. By default, the table must be sorted in ascending order. Very well. What do we understand of what the VLOOKUP do? Is basically he's looking for something in a range that I do that is on our first column, and I'm saying that my item is on the first column. So where is the item that I want to return? And then you specify the column that you want to return. All right? It will be more clear if we do the example. lookup value as the XLookUp. We're going to select here, but this one is a little different. I bring another one just for you to understand this. Table array. This is the part that you need to be very attentions. Table array. Normally you would take all that, all right? But as we read on the VLOOKUP description, the ID must be in our first column. So what is our first column here on the selected range? Is date, is not the one that I want. The first needs to be ID, right? So I need to select this as the first. So everything that I'm looking for must be to the right, that is the client. In this case, is in the right, right? So if you are thinking of using VLOOKUP, you have to understand this. The column that you are looking for must be on the left of the column you want to return value. Okay? So now he's looking for the call index number. The call index number is basically saying, okay, you give me all this range of columns. Which one contains the return value that you want? So here we have the first, that is our value. Is this what we want? No. So this is the first column, 1. We want the client? Yeah, we want the client. So if we start from here, how many columns? We have 1, 2. I want the second column index number. All right. So I will put it on 2 and see what it gives us. They give us John. Is it correct? Let's see. Yeah. Is it correct? This is a little more difficult to understand, I know, but basically you're going to use VLOOKUP if your base have this ordered column very well structured. So if everything that you're looking for is on the right side of your table, you can use it. If not, you're probably going to use XLOOKUP. What is the most different of them? Honestly, I use a lot of XLOOKUP. VLOOKUP was used because it came before XLOOKUP. But some specific case you can do it. I think that it's a little more faster. But when you say about software using, but it's not something so different that you have to use it, you know. But if you have a really huge sheet or a really huge book, you can use it if you are able to do it. All right. But honestly, don't differ too much. The one more difference, the HLOOKUP that we're going to see. But basically, this is it. I hope that you get it. I know that's a little bit different, a little more difficult, but put it on use and you'll see that you will get it very fast. So, very well. In our next class, we're going to see the HLOOKUP. At today's class, we're going to see the HLOOKUP. Let's see what the formulas do. As I always say to you, if you're in doubt of what the formulas do, read it. Looks for a value in the top row of a table and returns the value in the same column from a row you specify. Alright, so first, I'm not talking more about columns, I'm talking about rows. Second, the value that you're looking for needs to be in your first row. It's like the VLOOKUP, and it returns the row you specify. Alright, so as you can see, it's like a VLOOKUP, but I'm looking for rows. Alright, very well. What about I want to search for this ID on this base? Using the HLOOKUP, as I said to you, this ID needed to be on our first row, but is not. As you can see, our first row is our column names. All right. So these bases don't work with HLOOKUP. All right. I know it's not very used as HLOOKUP. All right. But if you want, you can make a table like this. It's not wrong to do a table like this. It's just a different visualization. Very well. Our IDs now are in our first row. And then you have the date, the product, the price, the discount, and the client. All right. So it's our exactly same base, but organized in a different way. You can use what you prefer according what you want to do, which formula you want to use. All right. And just a point, XLOOKUP, if you see here, X XLOOKUP works with horizontal looking also. So XLOOKUP you can use to compare row and row by row. Sorry. co and row by row. You can do also. You can use VLookUp for vertical or column and HLookUp for row, but XLookUp you can use for both if you want. Okay? Very well. So now let's see. HLookUp. I want to search for this. I want to search for this. On this, remember your first line must have the item that we're looking for, and our IDs are here. And what I want to return is our clients in our sixth column. So here, and let's see what return is. Steve. Is Steve our response? Mm, strange, isn't it? 457 232. 457 222. So why is it giving me Steve? Very well. The lookups have something more, that is the optional parameter, all right? That is the approximate match. Every lookup have this, all right? But the HLookUp consider it first before the exactly match, all right? So as you can see, this number looks a lot like this one. Just one number is changing. So he's looking for this, saying, "Ooh, this first one looks a lot." So I'm returning him this number. What you have to do is come here and say that you want the exactly match. All right. So I'm saying that I don't want an approximated number. I want the exactly number. And now return us Jose 457232. 457232. All right. So in HLOOKUP, you have to be attention by this. You are not looking for approximately. You are looking for exactly. And as the same of before, you have these two that are equal. All right. But he returns this one because it's the first that he finds. Very well. These were the lookups classes. You are going to use this a lot. I can say this to you. We made a lot of identification of keying and a lot of lookups, all right, in this job. In every job that you're using Excel, you're probably going to do this because you're probably going to have to mix bases, and for this mixing, you will use an identification on each basis, and you're going to use this. I'm going to show you in a project soon, but try to understand very well how this works. For your work, really, you have to know the XLookUp. Knowing you can make without VLookUp and HLookUp, all right? So try to understand this very well, all right? These were our classes, so see you in our next class. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class. I'm going to show you something a little bit different, that is the conditional formatting. In our first classes that I'm going to show a little bit of this part, and today we're going to see the conditional formatting. Conditional formatting is basically you are formatting the style of your cell according to something, okay? Let's see what we have. Highlight cells rule, greater than, less than, between, equal to, that cell contains, a date occurring. Alright, we have a lot of things here, but let's put in practice. Let's conditional format price. So I'm going to select everything that I want to format. Conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, greater than. Let's see. Format cells that are greater than 20 with this color. But I don't want 20, I want 17. Alright? So every cell that have a number more than 17 on the range that I selected will be filled with the color that you want. You can create one here, but it's not the main focus here. So I'm going to use the light red fill with dark red text. And okay. As you can see here, now every number that is bigger than bigger than 17 is with a specific format, right? What about this number change? Oh, it changes already. 15, it changes already. So as you can see, it's a rule that works for that cells now. You're understanding? It's not difficult. You just have to look, see what you want to highlight, and then put in practice. Let's see another one. Greater than, we made it. Less than is the same thing, and between is the same thing. All right. These three is basically the same. But here I set a number, and everything after this number will be highlighted. Less than, everything before this number will be highlighted. Between, everything between two ranges will be highlighted. All right. Equal to is a specific. Everything equals to this number or text will be highlighted. All right. A text that contains, this is cool. This is cool. I will use this one on the ID. A text that contains A. As you can see here now, every ID that contains the A is in a color. And I will can change for B, for C. All right. I can apply multiple conditional formatting. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to make A as yellow. I'm going to make B as green. And I'm going to make C, custom format one. Here you can custom format one, alright, to give us the font options, border options, and few options. So on this one, let's just use this font. Where is the bold? Okay, font bold. Alright. So now, as you can see, I changed it. I put three conditional formatting on a column to try to see more visible, to make it more visible which is which. Now I don't have to look for text, I can look for colors. If I want to see everything that is product C, I don't need to look for the letter C. I can look for the color that represents C. So I'm going to look every blue one. All right, it gives you more visibility. Soon we're going to see graphics, and this is a very important understanding that you have to do. You're going to make conditional formatting when you have to look for something and already know where it is, right? Basically, this is the conditional formatting. You have pretty more conditional formatting. uh, you have a date occurring, duplicate values, top bottom is the same thing but percentage. Top bottom items is ascending and descending, so it's ordering. Uh, but it's basically like that. All right. I want to go to color scales. Color scales are good. Color scales basically is going to give you here. Just if you pass through, you'll see. All right. That has a lot of. It changes every data. All right. The first one. Apply a color gradient to a range of cells. The color indicates where each value falls within that range. So let's sift through the numbers and try to understand. What are the numbers that are red? 15, 15, 15, 15. What are the numbers that are yellow? 20. And what are the numbers that are green? 25. Let's click on this. What about I put here 17? Oh, it's middle term. What about I put here 2? Now everything changed. This one is ones that probably you're going to most use. This one gives you a range between red and green of values. So basically, the red will be your minimum value. Your minimum value will be red, a very intense red, and accordingly it increases, it will give it green. Right? As you can see here, 2 is our minimum value, so it's this way. But 25 it's pretty higher than 2 on this one. All right, so it's going to give you our green. What about I have a really big number like this one? See that everything changed. 2 is still red because it's our minimum value. If I put here 3, it's very low. If I put here 10, it will be already more light because it's bigger number. It gives you a scale. It gives you a scale of red, yellow, and green according to your minimum, median, and max value. All right. So if I put here 50 and 1, Here I have the medians, all right? These numbers are the most important. 1 is our minimum, 100 is our max. So they're going to be our very red and our very green. 50, as you can see, is in the middle. So if I put here 75, yeah, I like that. 1, 25, 50, 75, 100. You can see here the color escalating. Let's put like all right. This is basically your column escalating, right? But you can make this by automatic using conditional formatting. This is why it's so good, right? So if I come here and do the same thing, now you understand that 0 is your minimum value and 6 is our higher value. You can make it opposite. You can make it from here, here, here. This one. This one changes. All right. So now our minimum value is going to give us green and our maximum value will give us red. Why that? This is for you to see the distribution of something. So imagine that you have a distribution of discounts as we have here. And you want to see where the discounts are concentrated. So as long as we have more discounts, it's more preoccupying. On this case, right? You have to be more warning with that. So we're going to click on the second one. Why? Because if I don't have any discounts, I don't have to worry nothing about. So 0, I don't have to worry about. So it's green. It's common to relate green to positive things. All right. But now I have on this discount 6. It's our biggest discount. So it's now. So this is why is on red. And now we have our this one. Okay. This one I will put on the first. So as you can see here, I have some distribution of colors. What I'm saying is that this price is a higher price, so it's green, and have no discount, so it's green. So basically, he's a good. But this one is not our best price; it's our 50 price, and have a big discount. So you have a medium term and a no, right? Colors, it's for more distributing of something, all right? So if you want to see the concentration of percentages of a discount, if you want to see your higher price and compare them with something, this is normally when we use conditional formatting, all right? It's for to make something more visible. You are looking for something, but it's not, there's too much text, you are not understanding it very well, you use conditional formatting. Basically is this, but one thing left that I almost forgot is the you can create a rule, all right? You can come here and create your new rule, and you have some options. Format all cells based on their values, only cells that contain something, or you can make a formula, right? So the formula is like the ones that you do on Excel, just going to make a true or false to see if it fits on the conditional formatting that you made it. All right. But you can create any formatting rule that you want. All right. So this is something very good that brings your report some attachments that give someone more highlights, more insights. Okay. So basically this is our conditional formatting class. I hope that you like it and see you in our next class.
Hello everyone, welcome to one more class and continue what the project that we were doing before. Today we're going to see logic formulas and you're going to see that it's very simple. From our last video, what I did was just calculating this discount percentage, alright? That is the discount and the price, right? Just divide it and you're going to have your discount percentage. And very well. What I'm going to make in conditional logic, just on the classification. Imagine that you're trying to understand which products have a better discount for what you consider a better discount, right? Very well. This is what I have here. I classified this in 3 steps: good, middle, and bad, right? This was the classification of the selling, of the discount, what do you think is better. Let's try to understand this. First, we have this if. If is literally what if means. If something happened, then you have an action. If not,
you make another action. So, very simple. Imagine that I have a lemon. What you do? A lemonade. If you don't have, you drink water. Just a quick example for you to understand here. This is the same thing. If H2, that is our discount percentage, is lower than 15%, all right? If that, I'm going to be good. What is our classification? Good. So, discount percentage is less than 15%, it is. So, it comes here. Very well. You understand how we got this good classification. Middle, the same formula. My discount percentage is lower than 15%. No, it's not. It's equal 15%. So I'm going to travel by here. I'm going to jump this good and go by here. Okay? If you click here, you'll see that the if have this structure, a logical test, a value if true, and a value if false. How we are not on the good on the value if true, we're going to the value if false. That is another if. I can make if inside of if for some occurrences that you might have a lot of classifications. You're going to use this a lot, all right? There's no problem. You can use this as far as you can, as far as you want. Because if you have a lot of ifs in one formula, it will be very, very big one. But let's go. Now I'm going to check if H3, if my discount percentage is lower than 30%. It is. Yeah, it is 15%. So now that my logical test of the second if is true, I'm going to go to the value if true. That is the middle. That is what we have here. All right. Very well. This afterwards, as we see, is always lower than 15%. So everything here is good. We have just one bad, that is this one. Let's try to understand. H9, my discount percentage, is lower than 15%? No, it's not. So we're going to the value if false. Very well. My discount percentage is lower than 30%. 15 is lower than 30%? No, it's not. So I'm going to go to value if false. Then I'm going to the bad. So this is why we have all these classifications. Right? It's just that. If it's just a conditional that you can make for anything that you want. Can be higher, can be equal, then it can be lower. Alright? There are some others that you can do that I'm going to show you. I built this little report, alright, just for you to understand some other formulas that use conditionals. First is the sum ifs. And as it says, you're going to sum something within a conditional. All right. So let's try to understand the structure. Some range. This is going to be what I'm summing. What I'm doing a sum. I think that's better. Base DD. Base DD. I'm summing. I'm making a sum of its counts. All right. Very well. What are my conditions? What are my criteria? My criteria range is II. So here, this. So I'm saying that I'm going to sum this according to this. So I'm summing my discounts according to my classification, where classification is equal to reported to good. So basically, I'm summing every discount where my sellings have a good classification. All right, it's just that. This is the structure of some ifs. And if you want, you can make more, all right? You can make a lot of criteria. This is infinity. I can make, if you have stores, you can make it by stores, you can make by state, you can make by country, by everything that you want. So as you imagine, this ones always looks for the side. So this, I'm summing every discount that had a bad discount. Every discount that have a middle discount, a middle classification. All right. And here is the same thing, but now I'm not summing, I'm counting. So let's try to understand what I want to count. My range. What is my range? It's base I to I. So again, I'm counting my classifications. Where is equal to A2, that is this classification. So here I'm counting how many good classifications did I have in this selling, all right? So basically these are our conditionals. We have a lot of, all right, we have average ifs, we have count ifs. A very important thing that is you have count if and count ifs. It's very easy to understand because count ifs is when you want to make more criterias. So you want to make a criteria of date, of store, and of country, for example. But if you just want one criteria, you probably can use the count ifs. Some if is the same thing. You have some if and some ifs, and you do the same row. Basically, this is it. We're going to check a little bit of this little report in our next class. Very well, so see you there. Hello everyone, continuing our project. Last class I said that we are going to make a review of this, but before we made a review, what about we try to understand better what is happening here, alright? Trying to make things more tangible. Today we're going to see how we can make graphics in Excel. We're going to see that it's pretty easy, alright? So first, the graphics are here on the insert page. And then here, as you can see, you have the chart page. That is the graphics. We have a lot of them here. I'm not going to pass through them all because basically they are all just for what types you are looking for. But as long as you're coming here, you're going to understand, you're going to see what is better for your case. Okay? What I'm going to do is select everything that I want, every data that I want, and I'm going to select in the chart. For example, this one. Our chart is already created. Pretty simple, right? Very well. Well, let's see how this is working. We have a value, how many, percentage, and average. Mm, isn't this a little strange? Like, it is comfortable for you that I'm saying that I have $15 of value. It's a little strange, isn't it? Very well. So I don't think that this kind of graphic is going to be very good. So what we can do is, I'm just going to bring this right here. I'm not going to select everything. I'm going to select just this. Let's see how it works now. Now, it looks like a little better. Because I'm saying now that my classification is good, middle, and bad. Alright, I'm not seeing value and how many here. I want to see the good, middle, and bad. Value and how many are the content that I want to see in my graphics are my values and not my axes. I'm going to delete this. Very well. But there's something still strange here. Value and how many, they have the same number type. Here I have dollars and here I have unities. Makes sense for you values and unities in the same graphic using the same description? For me not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the graphic, click here in this filter icon, and here I can set what I want. I'm going to throw how many out. And now I have only a chart of values. So now I can see that good represents have accumulated $15 of discount. In the middle classification I have 5 and the bad classification I have 1. So what about we change the graphic? Let's try another one. Insert, let's try the line chart. Again, I'm going to draw how many out. I'm going to change. I'm going to just use how many. All right? Because I'm talking about unities. It's not comfortable for me talking about unities in dollars. As you can see here, your axis already change for use the how many unity. That is nothing, right? It's just the unit. So what I see here is that good have 6, middle have 2, and bad have 1. That is our values here. But now you can see it in a pending chart. So I can see what is happening here more fastly. I do not have to see this line by line. Here we only have 3 lines, but what about we have a lot of them? I cannot see this very fast. That's why we use sharps, to make things more comfortable to use. All right. I can do the same thing to percentage, to average, uh, but I think that you have already get how we use shards on here. You can change everything that you want. All right. You can click here in the style. You can change the chart style. Uh, Here is the chart elements. So I can add access titles. So I can go here and say that here is classification, classification units, and here I can units. All right. You can change the graphic name, the chart name. That is, I like to put this units. So I'm saying how many units I have for each classification. What more we have? We have data labels that shows in the graphic above the point the true number. Data table is not very used because it looks below and occupies a lot of space, but you can have here error bars that you can set uh, a margin error of your count if you're making some difficult counts. It can be 2% higher, 2% lower. You can set this percentage and show it. Legend is basically here is basically this, all right, saying what does this line represents, because soon I'm going to show you that can have multiple lines on the graphic. Trend line is the how does this working. You see that it's just a straight line, all right. So it's an average line that we call. Up and down bars are the same thing as we said before. So this is basically how you create a chart and your options of chart. Now, in our next class, we're going to see what we have here. We're going to understand a little better our numbers, what we can take from this. All right? Very well. So, see you there. Hello, everyone. Welcome to one more class. And today, after we ended up our little project, we're going to start a new one, a more advanced one. That now we're going to see pivot tables, pivot charts, how to import data, so it's going to be a little more complex, but you will see that if you understand the latest classes, you can make it easy, right? So today we're going to see how you can import data from an archive, from a database, or anything, all right? So first we come here on data, we have home and search, page layout. You're going to be on data. Here in the left, we have all these options from a picture, recent sources, using an existing connection. What Excel calls a connection, as you can imagine, is when you have probably a database and you don't want to import everything here. You just want to make a search in the database and take every data for Excel. All right. So this is a connection. You have a bridge between a database that you can take anytime that you want, any information that you want. It's just for you to understand that it exists. We're not going to see this type of connection here, but it's pretty simple to use. I just don't have the database to show you all right? You can take from a table or range, from web, from text slash CSV. This is going to be the one that we're going to work today. Why? A lot of companies today use things like Snowflake, Databricks, that are web database, cloud-based database that you can just make an SQL consult query and download your CSV file with our components. This is how I work the most. All right. So I think that's more usual to have this kind of archive to import. So that's why I'm showing you this one. All right. And here you can see more. All right. Here you can have all options. You can import another Excel. This one we have already said. XML, JSON, PDF from a folder, database, every type of database you can imagine. So we have SAP HANA, Access, SQL Server, MySQL, Azure, you can say, Power Platforms. So as you can imagine, we have a lot of this. I left for you to download on the archives of the class and .csv file, all right? That is this one, mobile datasets. This one was for we get it from the Kaggle. That is a public site that you can download every type of database that you can imagine from everything for free, all right? I'm just telling this because you can use it a lot for training. So if you want to train something and don't have the data, you can take from there. That's going to be pretty easy. You just have to create your account. Very well. So let's start. I'm going to go here in the from text/CSV. Very well. It opened my Explorer, so I'm going to come here where I have my archive and I'm going to import. All right, no problem here. Very well. This is Power Query. I will show you how to work with Power Query, not now. Right. First, I just want to load the data. All right. Very well. As you can see here, the Excel created a new sheet called Mobile Dataset 2025. That is our archive name. And now we have our archive here as a table. All right. Very well. There is another way, all right, that you can import things. But for this class, it's going to be this. And I will show you the other way on the next class because it's a pretty easy way. So I will start the content in our next class. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class, and today we're going to continue showing you another way that you can import files. Right? This one is a little different because now we're going to import files directly, and all you have to do is come here on the archive that you have downloaded, right click and open it with Excel. As you can see, I opened the CSV file with Excel, but it comes on this strange way. All right, everything very close, a lot of information in one line. That's not what we want. So what we're going to do, we're going to select all my A column. All right, all my information is on this column from now. We're going to go from here, text columns, and here we have the magic happening. Choose the best file type that describes better your data. So fixed width and delimited. This is when everything's delimited by something. Here, as you can see, we have an comma after every information. So I have Apple, comma, iPhone 16, comma, 174, comma, 6GB, comma. Fixed width is a little different, is when you have amount of letters, amount of pixels for this column, but normally this type comes with another archive that is an auxiliary for it. So for us, it's just delimited because we see here that everything is delimited by comma. That is the meaning of CSV, comma, separated values. All right. So we're going to go to next. What is our delimiters? All right. Probably the tab is going to be sure here, but you can unselect it and select the comma. As you can see here below, you have already the information separated. You can see how it comes and you can check. So as you see, I have now company name, Apple, below it, model name, mobile weight, RAM, front camera, everything here looks like good. But what if we do another one, like space? As you can see here now, my company is not good. I have Apple slash iPhone, name, comma, model, 16, name, comma, mobile. Is pretty strange this way, right? So you have to be sure what is your delimiters. You just come here on next, and here you don't have to change anything here. I don't like to change my column data formats from here. We're going to make it on Excel, and you can come here on advanced, and this is very important. It depends on where are you from, all right? But here you have decimal separator by comma and thousand separated by dots. Usually I change it, I put decimal separator as point and thousand separator as comma because of how Excel works with it, and I think that's better for me. All right, but if you understand, if your Excel is understanding what you're doing, there's no problem. All right, it depends very a lot of who you're working for, where you're from, and this kind of things. All right, so I'm going to press OK and finish. So as you can see here, everything now is separated, very pretty, all right, very clean, so much better than our last time. Very well. So this is going to be with what I'm going to work, all right. We had this one on in our last class, but honestly, this one takes a little more of computer, not so much that I have to worry about, but this one takes a little more of the computer because this is just values. You see, I don't have a connection here. It literally put in information on every cell that it could have. All right. So it's just this. I'm going to work with this so we can close this one if it's open. I will not even save. Very well. So This is it for this class. You see another way of how import files, mainly CSV files. Very well, see you in your next class. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class, and now on we're going to see a little bit of pivot tables. Alright, first of all, we're going to see how you can create one. This is just for testing, and what we're going to make is come here on insert pivot tables. Now this page is going to show for you up, and then he's going to recommend you what he thinks that is the better, but just in case, you can click here on this up arrow and select everything that you want. Right, so I'm going to make Ctrl Shift right, Ctrl Shift down, select everything, and then enter. You can choose if you want in a new worksheet or an existing worksheet. I'm going to create a new one. Very well. When you create this will be what going to be appeared. So first of all, why we use pivot tables? Pivot tables are the most used way and the better way that you can organize your data without making a lot of formulas, a lot of work, manual work. All right, this is going to, as you're going to see, it's pretty simple, and then it gives you a lot of, it saves you a lot of time. All right, so here, as you can hear, we have this pivot table fields. Down below here we have our columns. All right, this is our columns of this one. So you have here company name, model name, mobile weight, in the exactly same order. And here on the right, we have filters, rows, columns, and values. This is how you're going to structure your pivot table. So if I come here and put company name on rows, it shows me on each row a name of the company that we have on this mobile data sets. But as you can see, it don't repeat. All right. So it don't repeat for us every cell. So if yes, we would have 931 rows, but it organizes it in a way that is simple, that is just in one line aggregated. All right. I don't know if I spell it right, but let's go. And now you can make everything from here. So I can make columns on launched year. So I have row tables, Apple, 2014, 2016, 17, from 2025, but we still don't have the values here. As you can see, we also have these row labels and column labels. That's basically a filter, a sort, and this kind of thing. So I can sort from Z to A. That's going to organize everything from the Z to A to Z. You can create your filter as you want, so begins with, end with, contains. So if I come here, contains A. So I filter every company name that just have an A on the name. All right, but I don't want that. Just want to show you that you have all of these options if you want. The column labels is the same thing, but for the columns. Right. So if I want, I can select just from 2020 and forward. Very well. We have this. What we want, we can see the Pakistan price here in the values. Now we are going to see something. Here show you how he's saying. So he's saying that he's making the sum of Pakistan price of Apple on 2020. So basically, he's summing every product price on this year for this company. All right. But if you want, you can change that. You can summarize values by sum, counting, average, max, mean, product. Like I'm going to make max. So I can see that the cell phone, the mobile phone that have the highest price of Apple on 2020 in the Paxton, it was 399,999. I don't know how to say that exactly in the Paxton price. But if you see here, we have this grand total. The grand total is going to show you the highest on every column. So as you can see, 399 is the biggest that we have from every year forward. So that's why he's taking this. But if we come back again to the sum, he's going to sum every column from this row, right? So if you see here, if you select everything, here below we have this sum 193, 399, 193, 399. All right. So this is the basic of pivot tables. You have rows, you have columns, and you can change that. So I can come here, pivot table analyze. After you create a pivot table, it will show you these two other pages. All right. Pivot table analyze, field list. Right. I can change that. I can change company names for processor. Right. I don't like the sum. The sum don't make sense on this analyze because it don't make sense for you to sum every cell phone price, right? For me, the better is the max that I want to see the highest value that was sold. So as you can see, the H812Z Bionic on 2020 on Pakistan coin was the most was the high, have the highest value. All right, and as you see here, we can see that normally it was not used from now on since 2020, but some ones have. So Dimensity 1000 plus one time, but this one Dimensity 1200 was used two times on 2020 and 2024. All right, for a very lower price, right? But it's just for you to understand how a pivot table works, right? This is not really an analyze. I hope that you like it. So see you in our next class. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class. And today we're going to continue our studying of pivot tables. Very well. I made some different here, all right? I take it out, the launched year, and put the RAM, all right? So now what I have is company, processors, RAM, and values. So as you can see, I'm mixing four variables in a way that is really good to see, right? This is why we use pivot tables. Let's try to make things a little different. First, we can stylize our pivot table here on design. You can add subtotals. I honestly don't like subtotals. Subtotals are this one, all right? Is this one that looks up any category, but I'm not do not show very well. Grand totals for me don't make sense for us to have grand totals. You can have grand totals for rows and columns. So if you come down here, you have this also. But honestly, I don't like that, so I will take this out off. Very well. You can slice your report layout. Normally, I put on tabular form and repeat all items. All right. For me, this is normally what I do because I think that's better to see, to understand what is happening. But you can do as you want. You can make compact form, outline, tabular form. I honestly prefer tabular form very well. Another thing, this one is not categorized very well. I'm coming from 1.5 to 10, 12, 16, 1, 2, 3. This is not good. You can select everything. When this shows up, just bring it to the left or to the right and you can organize your data very well. So imagine that you want to buy a cell phone and you are comparing your RAM to your processor and want the best price. All right? We can make some things here like, oh, I want a cell phone that have at least 4 GB RAM. So first I'm going to filter everything. The others don't mean to me. All right, we reduced what we want. Now, everything here is a possibility, but you don't like Apple or these ones that you don't know. You just want the famous one because of status on anything. So I'm just going to select Apple, Motorola, Nokia, and Samsung, Xiaomi. All right, I'm going to select only these ones. Very well, we reduced more what we want. And now, if you don't know processors, honestly, I don't know anything about processors, so I will only see for the price. Here, you can use conditional formatting again to make a good visualizing. So I'm going to select all my column, and I'm going to make a conditional formatting, selecting these two, the second one. Very well. This way, I made the same thing just for the column because I don't want to compare this one for this one yet, right? What you can do is knowing what is your limit price, you can select what you want. So I can come here on processors, filter, and value filters, right? So here you can select what you want. So I want that the max Paxton price is less than, and I'm going to make this way, right? Now we have reduced it a lot of, as you can see, Apple is not more here. They are a little more expensive. So we only have these ones now. And now you just have to see what's better for you, all right? Xiaomi, Samsung. And if you don't understand the Paxton price, you can change it. I used Paxton price just because it was the first here, right? But I made the USA price that I think you probably use it for. And just for you to understand that when you import your data, this is going to be with this way, all right? This is not a number. This is a string because you have letters on it. So I made this formula to take the letters out and just let the numbers. I using substitute on the cell and I'm substituting PKR space for nothing. You can represent nothing just by this, right? And the value guarantee means that this is a number, all right? So let's try to put it on USA price. But as you can see here, it's not selected USA price. What you can do is come here, change data source, and select again your data source. So I'm going to select the USA price and do an OK. That now it saves our what we made, and now I'm going to use the USA price. So I'm going to take this out and put this count off. No, I don't want count off. I want to the min. Very well. Some things here is going to with value, so we have to check our base why this is coming with value. If you press Ctrl Shift L, and you can make a filter on the column, and here I already have some things that is value. Let's try to understand why. USD space. Very well. I don't understand very well why this is happening for us. Would have to look better because here we're going to make a substitute on this cell USD. All right. So what I'm going to do is search this USD. Let's see if it finds for us. Okay, he's not recognizing this as USD because something that I honestly don't know. But there's no problem. All right, there's no problem at all. What you can do is come here and use a formula that I probably showed you before, that is if error. This prevents that if your formula makes an error, you can categorize it as you want. All right. So I'm going to make it this way. I think for me it's better because I can see what is happening, when is the error, and anything on my pivot table. Right? So now you can come here in pivot table, analyze, and do a refresh, because how we make a change on our data set, you have to refresh it to update. Refresh, and now everything's coming with 0. Right? Again, we have to make this way. To home, conditional formatting. All right. Let's make for all the columns. Very well. The higher price is giving me the one, but I'm honestly not using more our filter of value. So what we can do is come here again, filter, value, mean price is less than, and let's put 500. This one is not sure for us. Very well. Now I have on the cell phones that have more RAM, these processors that is less than 500. And then here you can see you can make your decisions, but that's it. This is just for show you how a pivot table works. As you can see, there's just some filters. You just have to understand what to put on your rows, on your columns, on your values. You can even put a filter here. So mobile, I can put like battery capacity. So I also want a battery capacity that is just, I honestly don't know anything about this, so I'm going to select this one. Okay, see, now we have our cell phone that comes with everything that we want that is lower or equal to 500, is a Snapdragon processor with this battery capacity and this RAM. But as you see, can you imagine doing this only with this table? You should make a lot of filters, a lot of formulas just to understand what is happening. But with pivot tables, you can come here, you can create what you want, and mix with it, play with it as you want. All right, just for you to understand, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. I think that is for now. So next class we're going to see about pivot charts. Hello everyone, let's continue. And next class we decided which cell phone we're going to buy according to RAM, price, and battery capacity. And always we have the processor here. Today what we're going to see is pivot charts. For this I'm going to create a new one, and let's see. For a chart, what we can make. I want to compare by companies. USA price. This is this way, but I want it by average. Alright, you can come here. Show value yes, no. Value field settings, number format, currency, symbols, this one. Right now it's formatted as a value. So what we have here is the average price. Yeah, now it's good. Is the average price of the product that Apple has launched on each year. Right? I don't want the grand total, so I'm going to take this off. Remove grand total. I don't want this. So come here, design as I showed before, not show subtotals, off for rows and columns. Very well. What we're going to see is just click on the pivot table, come here on insert, and we have this way pivot chart. You can always come here or you can come here. All right, it's the same thing. So let's come here, pivot chart, and it's going to open for us every type of chart, as you can imagine. Let's see. I'm going to select, let's try to understand this one. This is a mountain. I'm going to change. Uh, I'm going to make a filter, and I'm going to only select a pole. Yeah. And now I want to see the pivot chart, just for you to understand. All right. The others one were a little bit too complex to understand. Very well. This is our pivot chart, and why we say it's a pivot chart? Because if you come here and change Apple for Google, it's going to change the value as well. So every change that you make on your pivot table, the pivot chart will do the same. Now, I didn't select it. Okay, I'm going to select Xiaomi. You'll see it's pretty recently, just have 2023 and 2024. Let's see Samsung. Very well. So as you can see here, we have the average price of the cell phones launched on each year. But let's stylize this. First, we have these buttons here that you can filters what you want, but honestly, I don't like that. So I'm going to go here on design, sorry, pivot chart analyze, filter buttons, hide all, right? It not show us for us anymore. Let's this come here, make it a little bigger. Here on this plus, we have the same options as we have on the normal chart. That is access styles, chart title, data labels, and the ones that you probably are a little bit already used now. But something that's pretty good. Let's understand this. Very well. I don't like this here. All right. I don't like the legend on the right. I want to make on the bottom. I think that's better. Very well. What more we can have? I don't like these lines, so I can just select one and delete it. These ones, I think that's good that we have the data labels, it not mix one with another. So here we have, and it's pretty simple chart, all right, just for you to understand how it works, but it's have everything that we want. We have the average price per year, per company name. You can select two company names, all right, like I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. I have to make this chart a little bigger, and we have this way. And also what you can do is change the rows and the columns. If I put this here and put this here, see what we have. This is cool. All right, this is pretty cool. I like this. Now we have down below the years 2016, 2017, 18, 19 until 2024. But we don't have a lot of rows with different columns. That's kind of difficult to understand. Now what we have is just comparing Apple and Samsung average price per year. You see, I can see that 2017 Apple launched something that is average is 500 and Samsung was just 239. All right. So here you can make comparisons better. So if you make a pivot table and your chart is not the way you want, change the pivot table, stylize a little bit your pivot chart, that you see that's going to be pretty good. And as you can see, what we can take from here is that Apple normally get an average price higher than Samsung, all right? Higher than Samsung on this point, this point, this point, a lot of these points, all right? These points, very well. But Apple have more consistency. So if you see Apple normally don't pass through this line of this 400, all right? Now Samsung changed a lot. We have 239, 16, 400, 250, 75, all right? So you can see here that is changing a lot. And just one more thing that I like to do is creating and calculated field. The calculated field is specific for this pivot table. You're not going to have this on your base. You're just going to have this on this pivot table. So we're going to come here, have this, we're going to call this delta. And here you can create a formula that's going to appear just here, right? So I could make like USA price. Let's do something. Let's come here. And what I want is the Apple and Samsung price. I want the difference. You can see. Honestly, the best way to do that is just come here and change the chart. Change chart type, and you can make this one. I don't know what I was making that way because you can easily make this one very well. Now I have, if you click on the numbers, you can come here on home and change the colors just for see it better as you want. I'm gonna create that. That black probably is better. Yeah. Now I can a little bit see the difference between this or this. All right. I think that's the best way. If I want, I can create here a delta and I can make like max of this and this one minus the mean of this with this one. I'm going to have a number, but there's something that I want to show you that is these things. All right. When you want to have a reference on a pivot table, it will probably show like that. Honestly, I don't like, I don't use, because if I come here and push it, as you can see, it fixes everything. So now it's not recursive, it's not making a difference between these two, but there's a way that you can change it. You come here on File, Options, Advanced, General, let me remember. I was looking at it and now I found it. It was here on formulas and there is this option. Use get pivot data functions for pivot data table reference. You can unselect that and make OK. And now I can come here, make this, and as you can see, it's not showing us more that big formula is just a normal cell. Right. So basically now you know how you can organize pivot tables, pivot charts. Just for show you, all right, just for show you, I'm going to make a comparison that is not too valid, but you can make, all right? That is this one minus this one. You click the price. So I'm going to create a column with this, make an add, and OK. Yes. Why I said this is not valid? Because the USA price is different from the Pakistan price, so it is not a valid comparison. Very well. But this is very used when you going to make percentages and divisions, because you have to be attention with what are you dividing to. All right. But basically, pivot tables and pivot chart is just that. Okay, you can see that our difference is already showing here, but I'm going to take out this. It's really not valid to have this, just to show you how you can do that. All right. So very well. I'm going to remember something from everything that we saw from here and before, today and before. You can already work with a lot of things. You already know how to make a lot of formulas. You already know how you can import data. You already know how you can use pivot chart and pivot tables to organize better your data. So basically, this is the mostly that you're going to use in your day-to-day job. All right, it's basically that. So I think that is it for today. So see you in our next class. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class. And at today's class, we're going to see how we can create a dashboard. Basically, what is a dashboard? Dashboard is an amount of graphics that shows some information. All right. So we already saw how we can create graphics, how we can create slicers, and how we can create pivot tables. That's all we need to create our dashboard. All right. So let's do it. I'll call this column dynamics. All right. I created some more pivot tables, as you can do here. This was the one that we worked before, and this is the one that I created with this. Something that I want to show you is just how I calculated the margin. All right, margin, if you are not use it with this term, is your profit under selling price. All right, so you have your selling price, that is how much did you sell this product, how much this product costs for you, and you divide by the actual selling price. Why did I, and something that I want to talk about with you, why did I make this on calculated field and not in our basis? If we do this on basis, you would do something like that. You can make line by line and divide line by line. All right, it will give us your margin. But if you do this for 2 or for 3, right, you have this way. When I insert this on a pivot table and put it to summarize, it will show us the sum of this or the average of this. And sometimes some percentage is not as easy as it looks. So for not to occur this kind of things, we do a calculated field. What is the difference? The calculated field is going to make this one. He's going to sum all my selling price, subtract for all my product cost here. All my product cost. Don't need this. Sorry, don't need these two, and divide by the sum of my selling price. Right. Sorry, it's because I changed the language. So he's here, he's here. All right. And as you can see, it shows us 20%. What is the error? Just to be sure. Okay. And if you make the average, it will show us 21%. That is showing down here. So you have to be very careful with how do you work with percentages. All right. Almost all the time I did this way. All right. Because you ponder by each line. This is the margin. And with more data, your error propagation will be bigger. So this one is giving me a difference of 1%, right? But if I do for everything, it probably can give me something really more different, all right? So this is why I made a calculated field. You can create it for your own. And I made another pivot table just with the months and our selling price, all right? And by that, I created 3 charts, right? One per pivot table. So you already know, click on the pivot table, click on the pivot chart, and select the chart that you want. You already know to do that. We did it last class. One thing is missing here, that is the slicer. On a dashboard, normally we'll have some filters that we can put on our report that show us specific things that we want to see. So, how you can create a slicer for multiple pivot tables? Basically, we're going to come on a pivot table and create a slicer as normally as I showed before. Click on our pivot table analyze, insert slicer. Select the field that you want. Alright, so I want the field month. And if you see here, it's changing only one, only the first one. So, but there is a way that you can do for every other one. And how you do that? Basically, you will right click on your slicer, report connections, and select every pivot tables that you want, right? I select everything, and now if I press here, it will filters for us on each one of the pivot tables. All right, this is the magic of Slicer. And why does we do that? Because now I can come here and put the slicer here. And if I press something, it will show me only of this. This graphic is not very good for the slicer, right? As you can see, I think I will change it. Design, change chart type. I will put the columns. I'm not going to make something different. Let's put the columns and it will show us. All right. So now I have a slicer that changes each of my graphics. It's pretty more fun, right? You can make a lot of things with this. What more we can do? We can make more slicers. All right. Basically, this is how you're going to create your report. You insert a slicer, and I want a slicer by group. Again, right click of the mouse, report connections, select all my pivot tables, copy and paste for here. Sorry, I have to create it again. I lost it. Insert slicer, group. Okay. Come here, report connections, pivot table 1, 2, and 3. Very well. Now again, I can filter it here and it will show us. So, as you can see, your first, let me put more zoom. Like you can zoom in or zoom out as you want, all right? Normally you show everything, so I have to make this way. But this is your first dashboard. So among here, you cannot do already a lot of reports, all right? Already a lot of dynamic reports. This is the better part. Because imagine that you do this on your daily to day, right? So every day you make a report about how was, I don't know, the selling on the month, all right? You can come here, select the month, and if you saw something strange, you can go group by group and you can see how does this working, all right? For example, let's only do the group 6. What I'm seeing this is the evolution of the group's 6 sellings per month, all right? This is very good. Well, this is not discounts. What I'm doing, sorry, this is margin. This is margin. Very good. If you are better than me using colors, you can change the colors of your pivot charts. All right. So just for make it a little bit different, let's put something a little more pretty. You know, I'm very bad with this kind of things. Honestly, I'm very bad. So normally I just made this simple one, and for me it's the better. But we can put something like this and then change again, change the colors. Have this one. I don't know. You can make it as you want. Play a little with this report. Try to create a little better ideas. Look for your base and try to make something with this. You can create another, create some random numbers just for you to work with. All right? It's very important. You can practice a lot with this, or you can search on platforms like Kaggle, or you can search on Google free database that you can practice and make a lot of reports. But that's it, right? Basically, now you know everything that you need for a creator dashboard. During this course, we already made how you can create formulas, how you can create pivot tables, pivot charts, some formulas, how you can use mathematics, when you have to use average, when you can create calculated fields. But mostly, Everything that you learned on the last models was for this moment. That you already know how you can use formulas inside your pivot tables, how you can change everything, how you can create a chart. So this is it. I will end up this model here, and from now on you will see things that will excel you a little more. That is, you're going to start seeing macros, all right? The famous macros that you can use for a lot of automations. That's it. I hope that you like it, and see you there. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class. From now on, we will see more advanced things, that is VBA macros, right? It's basically a programming language on Excel, but you will see that it's pretty easy to know, pretty easy to create, right? But first, what is officially a macros? In Word or Excel, you can automate frequently used tasks by creating and running a macros. A macro is a series of commands and instructions that you group together in a single command to accomplish a task automatically. So what is he saying here is that you can just record some actions in the program on our Exxon in the case and use it as many times as you want. So you record you pushing a button, you pushing a cell, and you record it, and you can just call again this group of actions that will do it automatically for you. So basically, it's very useful for routines. Imagine that every day you have to make some series of routines that is always the same thing, all right? A copy and paste, and updating a pivot table or something like that, all right? And I put it here just to represent a set of actions that you can make it on a circular form, a repetition, all right? And you see that it's pretty easy. But in this first class, it's just for you to really understand what is a macros. So basically what we're going to do from now on is how you can create a macros, how you can record a macros, how you can edit a macros. We will have some classes about conditional and loops in programming language, that is the VBA. But again, this is more advanced things for you that don't want to make the same thing every day. All right, here you can already automate it. This is it for this class. In our next class, we will already see how you can record or create a macros. Very well, see you there. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class. And at today's class, we're going to see how you can record a macro, right? First of all, probably your developer option is not on, and you have to put it on active. And all you have to do is just come here on File, Options, Customize Ribbon, and select this developer option. It will be like this. Check the box and press OK, and it will show it for you. Okay, what do we have here? We have a lot of boxes of options, but all we're going to use is the code one. All right, very well. Here you have a lot of options. You have the Visual Basic, the macros, record macros, relative reference, and macro security. If you click here on macros, you see all your macros that you have recorded. You are probably going to see nothing. All right, it will be blank for you, but there's no problem. It's right this way because this one are my macros that I made before just for testing for this class. All right. Here you can delete also and manage your macros. All right. Very well. But for us, what is better is the record macro. This one is what we're going to use to record. A very important thing to have you warned is that when you click on record macros, everything will be recorded. So if you do something wrong, the macro will be wrong as well, right? So before you record your macros, be very sure on what you're doing and what you're going to do. Very well. Let's try. Click here on record macros, give it a name, class macros. Click on OK, and you see that it's already on stop recording. So your macro is recording. Let's do what we are here to do. Click here on new data, select the cell that you want, select everything, and copy and paste here, right? Let's also try to change this. This group is not date, is a number. The product cost, the selling price, and the discount are currency. And the objective are percentage. Very well. We did everything that we wanted, and now let's stop recording. This can show up for you, but you can just close it, right? Very well. If you now go here on macros, you will see that your macros is here. My one is class macros. And before we try to see if our macros is really running, I will make everything back to make sure that it's okay, right? There are two ways that you can active your macros. You can come here and active, clicking run, or create on a button. How you can create a button? You can come here on insert, illustrations, shapes, choose a shape that you want. I will write here class macros. All right. The name here you can put what you want. There's not needed to be the macros name. And you click on it, press the right button of the mouse, assign macro, and choose the macro that you want to assign it. For us is class macros and click here on OK. If you pass the mouse through it, you see now that it's clickable, right? So let's try and see what happens. See? Too fast that even I see. Remember that I put everything here back again to how it was, but now everything is well done. Everything's well done. So our macros was well recorded and was pre-done. And basically this is how you can record a macro. This is a quickie and easy example just for you to understand how you can make one. If you want to make things bigger, you can, you should, but you have to be very aware of what you're doing. If you have something very, very important and you want to use a macros to automate it, it is okay, it is good, but get really attention on what we're doing, right? Make a copy of the sheet book and try again, try again, and make something really without errors. Because sometimes macros can give a lot of errors, and there's not a really pattern way of how you can adjust them, how you can repair them. So do not make macros if you're not sure on what you're doing, right? Practice a lot. In our next class, we will see how you can edit macros to sometimes you just want to change something and not everything. So I will show it, but be very aware of what we're doing when doing macros. I really reinforcing that because it's very important. But for today class is it. We saw how you can create and record a macro, and now see you in our next class. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class, and continuing our last class, today we're going to see how you can edit a macros, alright? Very well. Just a warning, by the last class you saw how you can create a macros of copy and paste data from a cell to another cell. I have to make a new one that changes also the color to be more easy to teach you how you can edit a macros, alright? So as you can see here, it's giving me orange. I will show you how you can get a blue or a red, what do you want. First of all, you need to enter where you have your macros. So you're going to come here on developer and macros and select the one that you're using. I'm using the 5 and click on edit. This is a visual application edit, right? So here you can make all the changes that you want. There's no problem. You have all your sheets, new data, final base sheet 5, all the workbook, and here you have the models. The models is basically where are your scripts. Very well. I have only this model one that is all where are all my scripts. So here you have the macro 2, macro 4, and macro 5. That is the one that I want to change. You're going to see all this code, and you don't have to be terrified by it. It's not so difficult as it looks. If you try to read, you see that's pretty simple. So let's try to just read a little for you to understand what's happening here. So sheets, new data, select. He's basically selecting the sheets called new data. That is this one. Range A2.select. He's selecting the range of A2, so the cell A2. From that, what he's doing, he's selecting again a range from the selection, that is A2, for XL to right. What is this? This is your arrow. So basically he's saying that I'm pressing my arrow to right. After that, my arrow to down. Remember when I do that I select everything only by my keyboard, Control Shift, right arrow, down arrow? This is what he's doing. And by that, he's copying everything. After that, he's selecting the final base, selection again the range, and here is where he made the paste. See that he made this paste special, it's because it's only a value paste. Control, Shift, and V. And here you have all the options. So you can transpose, you can skip blanks, and whatever you want, all right? Everything of this you have on Microsoft documentation about macros. But this is what we want. With select font interior, you have everything that you want: pattern, pattern color index, theme color, tint shade, pattern tint and shade. So as you can see here, this is the style things. What we want to change is the theme color. So I'm going to look for this row. He's selecting the theme color accent 2. How do I know what is the color that I want? You're going to go here, and here on the home page, you have this. He is selecting this one. If you stay a little bit with your mouse on the color, it will show you what is the color. He is saying the orange accent 2. If I come here to blue, accent 1, text 2, background 2. So you see that each color has a name. You just have to know that name and change for what you want. For example, let's try accent 4. Let's try accent 1. I think I like more this color. We're just going to come here, delete 2, and put 1 in the place. We're going to save, save. All right. Now just go and run your macros. As you can see now, it comes to blue, right? These little changes is what you can do more fast with macros. Yes, you can do conditional formatting. Everything that you can do here in Excel, but with your keyboard, with your mouse, you can do it by macros. But some things are not recommended because they are too difficult or because it's easier to make with keyboard and a mouse and things like that, all right? If you want, you can change. Also, you can go for accent 4, accent 5. Play a little bit with this. Try to recognize the patterns on the code, and that's it. Right? So now with this module, you learn how you can create a macros, how you can record a macros, and how you can edit a macros. If you're more interested on this kind of automation, what you can do is learning a little bit of this programming language. It's not difficult, as I showed you. It's pretty visual. I know there's a lot of line code, but you get used to it, all right? And it's kind of different having this on your curriculum, all right? So by here, we end this model of macros. Now our next model, we're going to see a little project. I will guide you in a project of everything we have learned, is a little bit of everything, and that's it, all right? So I hope that you like this class, and see you in the next time.
Hello everyone, welcome to one more class. Today our class is going to be a little bit different. We already have all the formal content of this course, so you already know how you can work with Excel. Obviously you need to practice a lot. All that we have done here is an objective way to see the things. So how a formula is structured, the basics formulas, intermediate and advanced formulas that are the most used ones, how you can use a macros, pivot tables, pivot charts, how you can create charts, identification, and a lot of this that we have saw on this course. We're not going to see very much of the really tools of Excel formulas and something like that. I'm going to show you now from the end of the course how you can structure and the analysis and guide you in one. All right. So first, how you should start a data analysis the right way. Why do I say that? Now that you have the tools, that you have what you need to make a good data analysis, how you can do it. What is the first steps? I'm going to talk a little bit of this because normally we take the project, we take the insight, the analysis that we have to make, and we don't know why we are doing this. All right. And a lot of problems can be resolved by the beginning. So I think that's one of the most important parts. All right. But let's go. First, define the objective. Define the main question or problem to solve. All right. You have to be very clearly on your mind what you are looking for. Right. So I'm saying a coupon, a discount. Why am I doing this? Right. And there is the right questions. You have to make the right questions for those who are giving you this task to understand everything around the analysis. This is very important, right? Because if you just start clicking on your keyboard, you are not going to go anywhere. Comprehend the situations and the causes. Doing the right questions, try to imagine what are leading to this. Why does we are having to make this one? All right. And beyond that, from what should I see? Why should I see that? The situations of cause and effect are very useful when analyzes. You have to know it very well. And define general and specific objective. Why am I saying that? In your analysis, you're going to have your objective defined, as I'm saying to you too, but you have to find a little bit of the metrics. What are the metrics that you are looking for? These are your specific objectives. I want to see how much sold, I want to see the conversion, I want to see the margin. What are you looking for? What are your specific objectives, and how does that leads you to a general insight? This is what I call define general and specific objectives. And also measure what matters. If your boss or someone who are giving you this task asks you for A and you give them B, there's nothing with nothing. You have to measure what matters. So link each objective to a specific metric. What are metrics? Metrics are those specific objects that I told you about. So if you want to see how good is a store going, what are your specific objectives? What are your metrics? Is the selling? Is the conversion? Is the feedback of the clients? Link each objective to specific metrics. All right. Add context. So context is very important because if you are looking from a sale like Friday and you are looking on Thursday, why are you looking at that? Add content, add time, add filters, everything that you see that it's important for this objective. Try to make everything of this before before you make the data analysis, before you open your Excel, right? Do it on a paper. It's very good for the way you're thinking on a problem to make it on the paper. It helps me a lot. And understand the metric. You have to understand if it's qualitative, if it's quantitative, only because the impact of these metrics differ from what we're looking for. So if I'm saying for something that is qualitative, for example, margin, I don't have to see like wow, I have a big margin, but you see that you're not having too much sellings. All right. You have to understand what is qualitative, what is quantitative, and everything of that, honestly, you can resume on making the right questions and comprehend the situations and the causes. All right. You can define everything of this only by this. So sit in your chair a little, take a paper, and describe what you want to do. This is basically what you need for starting data analysis. Very, very summarized. All right. After you've taken some projects, you're going to see that you have to need a little more. All right, you have to ask more. There are some questions that we're going to see during your analysis. But for you to start, that is the purpose of this course, for you how you can start with Excel. I think this is sufficient. So now I'm going to show you a project that I made with some data obviously changed just for you, just to guide you on this road. All right, so that's it. See you the next class. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class. And at today's class, we're going to have our first step on our guide project. All right, so before we start, I have to give you some context. First, imagine that your boss comes to you and tells that the company have made a discount using a coupon and he wants to see how it performed. Pretty simple one. Very well. And this is your job. You have this data. All right. I already give you this data. I'm going to disponibilize it for you. All right. You can download it. But in a real life situations, you're probably not having this. All right. You have to see what your company offers for you of data. So if is using Snowflake, Databricks, and Database Manager or anything, all right? But I'm going to give you these ones just for to practice. So this is what we're working for. Download this, that is the raw base. Second, I'm going to only guide you on this. I'm going to show you, I summarized a little bit, I take some parts off because I want you to think more, all right? How this is our last project, it has to be as real as possible, all right? So there are another archive there that is technically our final analysis. Why do I say final? Because you should be able to see that and see that something is missing. Make that questions that I said on the last class for you. How can you do that better? All right, it is not perfect. All right, I just summarized everything, and I'm going to show you summarized of how did I do it And after that, you need, all right, I recommend a lot you to complement it. So make more questions, make charts, and everything that you think that could be better. All right. So this is only the advice for what we're going to work from now on. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class. And in today's class, we're going to make some questions about the analysis before I guide you on what I did. All right. First, why does we use the discount? We use the discount looking for what? What should I expect for that? All right. So I'm expecting more conversion because more people should buy because of the discount. I'm looking for a leverage of sellings, of recipe, right? Of income, sorry. I'm looking maybe for a lower margin because my price has become lower. So you have to understand why you have did that and why for understand what are you looking for. So why is one of the first questions that you should do. Second one is when. When is very recommended because you have to understand in your base which data you should use or not. In this case, our discount occurred in the period of 3 weeks, 9, 10, and 11, of 52 on a week, on a year, right? So these ones have discount. So it's not comfortable, it's not right to look for this discount after or before. Other thing is, if you want to see if it's higher or lower, you have to make a comparison. So what am I comparing to these 3 weeks? Probably the 3 weeks immediately before. Why that? Because in this short period of time, it's not so often that we have huge difference of sellings, right? So I have to compare periods that are equal. So the 3 weeks, 9, 10, 11 of the discount, and the 3 weeks before. So I'm saying 6, 7, and 8, right? If you see here on the base, we have a lot of dates. We don't have just that. So you should segregate what is before and after that you won't use, what is before and during the discount that you're going to use. This is a very important metric to use, the time, the context that you're using for. All right. So use it why, use it when. Now, what are we really looking for, right? If your boss didn't told you anything specific, you have to have a little bit of understanding on what are you doing. What should I see? Which metrics should I use? You can look for that on previous analysis that I've already made, or you can ask for some colleagues in the work what normally you see on the calls, on the meetings that they are talking about. I just bring the mainly ones like income, margin, conversion, share, all right? This kind of things. But maybe in your company it has another other name. They use another metric. So you have to understand what are you looking for, right? Very well. And other thing very important is which. Which coupon is I'm using? If you see here, we have a lot of coupons. All right, a lot of coupons here. I let it very explicit what it is. All right, coupon campaign. But imagine that you don't have this. This coupon one have another name. The coupon two have another name. You have to know which coupon you are using because if not, your job is for nothing. Right? So this kind of questions that you have to do to yourself and to your boss, to those who are giving you this task, to make sure you're not going to make any mess of this analysis, right? Because, okay, this is a specific action in a short period of time, but imagine it's a very important one, a very bigger one that maybe change the recipe, the income of a whole trimester, a quadrimester. So you have to see things like it was really, really serious. But this kind of questions is what you should talk about. I don't know if you are used to, but you can use the method 5H, that is who, when, where, why, and which, right? You can make these 5 questions. Maybe you won't use them all, but try to use. It can already give you a way to go in your analysis, all right? So this is a little bit of how you should start your analysis. Now, try to look at this data, try to see the format if they are okay, try to understand which is which column, what does it mean, right? Very well. See you in our next class. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class. And at today's class, we're going to continue our guide. Alright, so in our next class, we saw which questions we should make to ourselves and to those who are giving us this task that we should do, of what we should do, how we should do, what we're looking for, why we are doing that. Alright, everything of this is very important to make a very good and concrete analysis. What we're going to see today is after you have made these questions, you already must have or may have an image in your mind of how you're going to work in your analyze, right? What you're looking for, how you're going to do that. These things get a little more faster according to our experience. So what I'm going to show you here is what I have done. This is like my final result of this analyze. As I said, I summarized a little, take off some things to make it better for this course, but this is basically what I have got. All right. First, how am I looking an increase or decrease of something? What am I saying is I'm comparing two periods before the discount and during the discount. All right. So here I have the full result of sellings on each store during these two periods. All right. So I classified the periods to make it more easier to see than week for week, week by week. So I have this. I have this part. This is sorry. This is the leverage. So what I'm doing here is just seeing if my sellings have increased because of the discounts. All right. This is not so obvious because it's not just making one minus another. All right. But I want you to see this formula and try to understand why we're using it. Okay, what more did I have? I classified the stores by each situation. So I classified them cannibalization, bad use, well used, and leverage for other reasons. All right. So then I can just see what I'm looking for. If I'm just seeing those who got well used out of the discount, I'm seeing these three. All right. And I can see here how much did increase of the period. So this one is the during discount time divided by the before discount time. So here I have 108%. What is this I'm saying? 100% is saying that it's equal. If two things are equal and I divide them, it gives me 1. So if I'm saying that I have 108%, I have an increase of 8%. All right. Here I have the share with the discounts. What is the share? It's how many sellings of this store have used the discount. All right. I can make it by purchase or I can make it by dollar. You think you do what you think it's better, right? So I see that on this store, 20% of the sellings in this period was using the discount. All right. And here I see the difference of them, the real number. All right. So as I said, this is very summarized, but this is like what you should get when you're working with this data. Yes, you can make graphics, you can make a lot of things. Sometimes I think graphics is too much. This gives me all the information that I have. I make a PowerPoint about it. So I just separate each slide by classification, one for cannibalization, one for bad use, one for well used, and one for leverage for other reason. All right. But this is basically what I got. Did you think that would be this way? Or are you thinking a little bit different? Feel free to have your imagination, to use everything that you got to make a better analysis. All right. This is not the true and just the true. This can be different. You can make it different. You can make it better. All right. And you should do it just to practice. As I said to you, with more experience, you get more used to think as they want you to think in your company. All right. So basically, this is the class just for you to understand what you should do, how you should do. In our next class, I'll show you the step by step that I have done a little bit faster of how I bring this result. Right? Very well. See you there. Hello everyone, welcome to one more class. And at today's class, as I said in our last class, we're going to see a little bit of the step-by-step that I have done on this analyze for give you a little bit of the way you should do, alright? So, okay, all I give you of data is this 9 columns, alright? And the first thing that I have done is separed which purchase used the coupon, alright? So as you can see here, I made only an if to see if the coupon is used or not. After that, I told you that it was during the weeks 8, 9, and 10. So what I have done is getting the week of data. Alright? Very well. According to the week, I separated in week with discount and without discount. I got the value sold with the discount if the discount was used. Remember those periods that I told you? Alright, this is where I made it. So I'm separated according to the weeks, with and without discounts. If it was a sold in this period, I put the value here. If not, I see if it's here and put the value here. If it's not 1 and not 2, I put 0. So what I have done here is just separated the period and the sellings of each purchase on if it have its counts, if it not have its counts, in which week is this, in which period is this, all right? And then because after that I can sum all of this that used discount and all of these that did not use discount. For these two, I make a little bit difference. I honestly like to use colors in the columns to separate what is what, all right, which is which. And these ones, I just bring it from this auxiliary dynamic here. It's very recommended that if you are having trouble to make a very difficult calculus or make something, yes, you can use dynamics or any other table that you want just as an auxiliary. There's no problem of it. It's very recommended. This one I use it to separate and just bring after the share and the leverage. I'm calling leverage here the difference of income. All right. So if you're having trouble with this, maybe where you work or where you want to work, what I have done is not this name, but I was teach this way. So very well. Leverage is basically the difference of income. Okay. So here I have those calculated fields, as I told you about one of our classes, that is basically the BD, the during discount period income divided by the before discount period income. Here I have the share, as I told you about, have the separation of each value sold during the period with or not discount. All right. So here I have the share. I'm Brazilian, so sometimes this, all right, but this happens, but it's just with discounts. We can take that. Okay, we got these two. This is where I classify the stores according to each leverage and each share, right? So I can have a high leverage and a low leverage. I can have a high share and a low share. So how I have two possible options for each one, I have a total of 4 possible options. All right. So I use this formula. All right. I think that's the biggest formula I have seen this course, but honestly, you're going to see very, very longer ones. There is a lot of ifs inside other if, but this is the easier part. All right. As you can see, there's nothing very difficult here. The difficult part is what? Is understanding what you want to see. All right. What are you expecting for? But if you have imagined something like that, you are in the right way. But if you have imagined something very different, this don't mean that you're wrong. It just means that you might have think a little bit different of me. If your results must be right and should be right, you can have other insights. This is very good. So as I said, I recommend you to a lot to make this by 0. I just show it here if you're having any difficulties of how you can think, how you should start, but try to do it by yourself. Again, if you have any doubts about it, you can call me on my LinkedIn. It's Mario Serconvis. I will write it here because my surname is a little bit different. I don't know if you are used to, but it's Mario Serconvis. You can look on my LinkedIn, and you can call me if you want, and I will be very happy of helping you. So this is it. All right, this is the course. We have passed a lot here. We see the basic formulas, the structures of formulas. You have seen pivot tables, graphics, conditional formatting. We have saw a lot of things. As we're going to use, you see that Excel have a lot of more tools. All right, this is a very huge tool, and it's impossible to cover everything in one course. Or it's possible, but it should be a very long course. The focus of this course is just give you an image of what Excel, what you should know to just get there on your job. All right. And this is it. I hope that you like it. I will have just one more class, our last class, that's going to be what you should do now. Okay, you know Excel, but what you should do with it to get your job or to get better in your job. I hope that you like it and see you in our last and next class. Hello everyone, welcome to our last class. Today I'm going to talk to you only about what you should do now. So you have already learned a little bit of Excel, alright? So you have seen basic formulas, intermediate contact, advanced things like macros and pivot tables, pivot charts. But that's not all. You learn something about a tool that is Excel, a very powerful spreadsheet, and you should know. But this course is just for you to be ready, to feel comfortable of starting a job. I presented for you here. You can already say that you can work with it. You're going to have some difficulties, it's going to be hard in the beginning, all right? But as long as we're going to have experience it, as long as we're going to have more practice, you feel very more comfortable of making analysis, of understanding what others analyses are trying to say, of how you should organize your data better, which formulas you should use, which questions you should ask. Everything I told you here you're going to use, but that's not all. You should look for more, right? And where you can look for it on the internet. If you look for models on Google, you have a lot of them. If you look on LinkedIn, you have a lot of people showing their analysis, showing models, how they do this. And if you are in doubt of which area, which role you should go, try to see some analysis of this. So see a financial spreadsheet. How does it work? Why they do that? And try to see what you think is better. Because Excel can be used for a lot of things, not only calculus. Human resource use a lot, inventory use a lot, financial use a lot, supply use it a lot. There are people that make contracts with it. Yeah, I've already worked with this. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this, but you have to be a little more certain of where you're going to go. If you want to try a little bit of everything, feel free. I recommend a lot. But what I recommend for you now is look for more. All right. So that's it. Thanks for being here during this full course. It's my first time giving this course, so maybe sometimes I strang a little. But if you have any feedback that can give it to me, my name is my LinkedIn. All right, I will be very happy to answer you there. Any questions about the content, about Excel, or anything that I can help you about it. All right, hope that you like it. That's it, people. Thank you for everything.